Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. This is episode 396. In this episode, we're going to do NFL Power Rankings 24 to 17, discuss Love and Tua's contract extensions, the Suns signing Tyus Jones, and Steve Kerr benching Jayson Tatum. Team USA, first game. Tatum coming off the bench.
0 fucking minutes.
That's pretty fucking embarrassing.
You know, the Celtics may have had their shining moment, but we got the last laugh.
No, that's pretty fucked up.
0 minutes. No way.
Not
Do
only
we
0
want to
minutes.
start with that? Is that what we just want to get into? Just start right off with it?
Dehls, not only was it 0 minutes, they won by 30. So it's like,
Yeah, no, they're going to beat every team by 30.
No.
that's not true because when Tatum was playing, there was some struggles.
Bro, Joel, when you
Exhibition
put up
games?
that tweet of him with his highlights and him just fucking clapping and doing all that, I was crying. Twitter yesterday was a movie.
Yeah, nah, not for me. Wasn't on there. No way now.
Tyrese Halliburton showed how to be a great teammate.
Oh, really?
He was on the bench clapping. He was rooting for the team.
Riv.
Jayson
Can you believe
Tatum
this? These
did
two,
not have that same energy.
These two guys' favorite players on the team.
My favorite player is Anthony Edwards.
0
on the
All
team.
right, fair. I forget.
He's playing.
I-
I've been waiting,
my
for,
bad,
I've been
sorry.
waiting for Hallie to get benched.
Yo, 0
Yeah.
minutes. Derek White and Drew Holiday, they got firm roles.
Derek White is a big Steve Kerr type of guy.
Definitely.
Does the right, play the game the right way,
Halliburton,
stuff like that.
not so much.
But you had a great tweet out there. You said that, this wasn't just a Kerr decision. There are some amazing basketball minds on the coaching staff, Eric Spoelstra, Ty Lue, and they
Yeah,
all
I just don't
collectively.
feel like Kerr is the only one that just goes in there is like, all right, we're just going to bench Tatum and
I don't
nobody
know.
says a word.
These 3-guard lineups definitely definitely shout Steve Kerr.
No,
to
for
me.
sure those, but I just think like if he's in there, like Spo has pull. Let's not act like he doesn't have pull.
Let's be
Spo
honest.
says,
Supposed to be running the fucking show.
Spo's in there probably like, yeah, bench Tatum.
you really don't need him.
the collective brain
Celtics
trust said,
already showed it.
I understand.
got
I
the
Spo
other-
probably like, fuck
Steve
him.
Kerr,
Like,
Spo. We really got all of Tatum's ops on this fucking coaching staff. Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Give him a
Like,
break.
he probably was all like, I'm all for it. Bench him. Mark Few was just like,
We can't get Charles Lee on this coaching staff, man.
What about Missoula, man? You think Missoula would have got Tatum out
Missoula needs to lock in. I think he
2028
needs
maybe?
to decompress.
2028, he'll be on it.
What?
Oh, on
The coaching staff?
Oh, dude, he should be the head coach.
Yikes. This is why you get the hate that you
Dehls
get.
seemingly shouldn't have a problem with it, though, because, I remember when he told all of us that, he's a Celtics guy. And two of the Celtics players are playing on the team. Tatum's the only one that's not
I
playing.
told you, everyone deserves a goal except for Steve Kerr and Joel Embiid. Other than that, I'm cool. Everyone else gets it. D. White, get yours. Drew, get yours.
Seems
You know
like
what's funny?
Celtics fans are not happy for
Embiid,
Derek White and Drew.
No way. Steve Kerr.
They're just upset
no
for
way.
Tatum.
Spo, I'm looking at you a little sideways, too.
Oh,
Don't know what's going on there.
Oh, he hates Boston.
He has to.
Yeah, he hates
actually, does he? 2 out of the last half, I
He's probably
guess.
mad as shit they won the championship.
Oh, for sure.
He's
definitely.
probably pissed off.
I was talking to my dad about this. My dad, I 9 out of 10 times respect his opinion. He said, "Isn't it crazy how the best player on Team USA can get 0 burn and they still win by 30 points?" I said, "Wait a minute, Dad. Jayson Tatum's the best player on Team USA." You felt that to your heart and your
Oh, for sure. He was spitting.
I
Your
was
dad
just-
knows ball.
I said, Dad, I'm gonna be honest with you. He probably isn't even the 4th. He's probably 4th. I'll put him 4th.
Curry, KD,
Curry,
LeBron.
KD, LeBron, and honestly, Embiid is a question.
He's also ass.
Also, maybe 5th, Anthony Davis, because the Lord have mercy.
Embiid, I'm not hearing that shit. Bro got pulled within 2 minutes.
He's been bad for Team USA.
Another
don't
guy.
really
Maybe the
fit.
minute should
But
be
Anthony
adjusted here.
Davis legitimately has been
Nah, AD's
flawless.
been OD. He's been really, really good.
Bam's also been better, but we're not going to speak.
My dad was talking about him
Yeah,
being
he's been stroking it.
being a team player, and that's what it like helps his greatness that he's so selfless.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, listen, in a vacuum, that means nothing to me.
Yeah. Shit, I was rooting for Serbia. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. I was rooting for Serbia as
Back on
fuck.
his country.
Clean rooting for Serbia.
Mind you, Drew Holiday and Derek
I
White are
know.
playing.
That's
he
why
does not care.
You know what it is, bro? He's back on being a Tatum fan. Now it's
Now it's just disrespectful at this point.
Remember?
It's not. It's just
Weren't we just
disrespectful.
having this conversation?
Because Tatum's not the one that proved himself.
That-
That's why.
oh,
The Celtics as a team proved
shit.
themselves. So he don't got nothing to say about that no more.
Yahtzees.
But Tatum hasn't proved himself yet. To the extent of other superstars when they typically win a championship. You know?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting this laughing because you couldn't laugh for months. You couldn't laugh all year, for being honest.
Got a good point.
No.
I'm glad you got yours in.
I don't know about for months. I laughed for months. There was a certain period of time.
No, you
where
couldn't laugh for the year, actually.
Brother, Hallie's benched. He's right there with you. I don't know.
But
Don't forget that.
Hallie is
It is his saving grace right now.
Hallie's
Hallie
averaging
shit
more claps on the bench. He's doing more things
He's definitely more
than
excited.
Jayson Tatum.
He's young. He know he'll be
Because
back here
Hallie
eventually.
knows is like, listen, there's some dudes on this
No,
team.
he just
Man.
knows all the guards are better
If
than
Hallie
him.
was going to get 0 minutes, they should have just had Brunson on the squad for the Or. Like, I don't want to see Halliburton on the bench. I'd rather see Brunson.
Brunson probably knew he wasn't gonna play.
Brunson probably would have played, honestly.
No, was he hurt?
He did break his
wrist.
hand.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Or his
Listen,
wrist,
Hallie
whatever.
looking at he probably in practice like, listen, I ain't
get
ready
it.
yet.
I'm here for the
I get
vibes.
it. I'm just here for the vacation.
I'll take
Tatum,
my
though,
gold
Tatum's
medal.
like, I just want to chip. Last year, I just averaged, he averaged 16, or not last year, last Olympics, he was the leading scorer on the
Yeah.
Olympics team. So he should feel away. And I don't know, Steve Kerr said, like,
You mean the
He took
team
professionally-
the FIBA team?
No,
the
the gold
2020
medal
team.
team.
I thought KD was the
2020.
leading scorer.
It was
was
him
hurt,
and
I
Tatum. No,
KD hurt
I
2020?
thought. Oh,
Kevin Durant has been the leading scorer
Yeah,
every time he's
right.
played. I don't know if he played in 2020 though.
I think so. Or either way, Tatum was like, he averaged like 16, 17 that 2020 run, which I thought was the most on team. I could be wrong. But Steve Kerr said he took it professionally. If I'm Jayson Tatum, bro, I'm saying you better fucking play me or else I'm out of here. And that's what Steve Kerr said. He said
Hilarious
he's
enough.
starting against South Sudan, which is like, it feels like just like a pity start. Like I
is.
bugged out.
Kerr-
you know what I mean?
Kerr
The
does
internet's
this.
killing you. Here you go. Here, start the game. Maybe we'll give you 15, 20 minutes.
KD did not play in 2020 because that was when he was recovering from his Achilles.
Facts. Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. The 2020 United States stats. KD played 6 games. He averaged 21 a game.
What am I
Oh,
thinking?
okay.
Tatum
of then?
averaged 15.
So Tatum played cool.
Yeah.
I figured
He was the
KD
second
played.
leading scorer.
KD played every time he gets a chance.
I
to
thought
play.
KD was out 2020. That's my
Because
bad.
2019 was when he's got injured, but then 2020 he sat the whole season.
So, but then that 2020 summer, he missed the
No, yeah,
2020
it
year.
was 2019. It was
100%
2019 he got
right.
He
hurt.
missed
Yeah.
2020
Apologize,
year and
yes.
then played in that summer.
But that
100%.
2020 team is nothing like this team.
No,
Nah.
No,
So-
I
this
mean,
team
this
is
is
way better.
hilarious.
No, but
Yeah.
Tatum getting 0 minutes is
I mean, Tatum was going to play on
inexcusable.
that 2020 team.
Yeah, he started.
Is Kawhi getting 0 minutes?
Come on. Nobody's bench. Kawhi would actually leave.
If it was
Like,
he did
Kawhi,
leave.
yeah.
He
if
did
it was
leave.
Kawhi instead of Tatum, who gets benched?
Tatum still gets benched.
I
brother.
said if it was Kawhi instead of Tatum, use your ears. Who would get benched?
I don't
He's
get
saying
it.
if Tatum wasn't on the squad, but it was Kawhi now.
Oh,
Who's
probably
getting-
D-Book.
Oh, when
I don't know.
D-Book was playing all
No,
right.
because it's
I
the
don't think-
forwards at the issue, not the
Then
guards.
one of your Boston. I don't
Bam,
know. I don't
maybe?
think
It's
Kawhi.
I
the
don't know.
forwards, not the guards, that are the issue.
Well, Devin Booker is playing forward.
They're playing 3 guards.
Devin Booker has to play forward.
I mean, I guess technically if you're laying them out in position, but he's always having 3 guards out there for the majority of the time.
Yeah, the starting lineup is Drew, Steph, Book, and LeBron.
Like, yeah, he's playing forward, but he's a guard.
and then Embiid.
Yeah, so
No, I understand what you're saying. I think, listen,
Kawhi's not getting benched. He's getting.
I mean, he's
minutes.
playing. I mean, LeBron also has been the point guard. Really, he's been the one facilitating.
He's playing
the
positionless
offense.
basketball.
Yeah,
outside
when
the
it comes
bigs.
to this team, it's just about fit. Like Tyrese is not playing not because he's not better in a vacuum.
He's not
He's
better
just
than
not.
nobody on the team.
He's just not good defensively. What do you
Drew
mean he's
and-
better than
Drew
Derek
and-
White and Drew
My
Holiday?
fault, my
What are you
fault.
talking about?
I mean,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
between him and
What are you
Drew,
talking about? Oh no! We know who's better.
I do.
It's just for this team, they need more defense, so that's why Drew plays.
Oh, really?
That's why.
Sounds like the better players playing.
I think the reason why Tatum's not playing is just because we don't know how broke his jump shot is. But Devin Booker went 4 for 5 from 3.
He was killing.
He was doing his thing. He can space the floor.
He's been a very good just
If-
3-and-D type.
Hell
player.
yeah.
If Tatum is not able to shoot the 3 ball, then it takes away from a lot of his value out there on the court.
damn. Imagine his jump shot fell off like that.
I mean, I'm not worried.
It was
that
like that
it's
in the
gone
playoffs.
forever.
I
It
know.
was gone for the
I
playoffs
know.
and the
It's 2
finals.
playoffs in a row
And they
now.
still were able to win despite that.
Comfortably.
Yeah.
Remember when you
Comfortably.
picked the Mavs?
Oh my
Yeah,
god. All you can do is laugh.
You know what's funny, bro, is that Jayson Tatum actually got the freshie. He had a nice
Yeah.
haircut. He was
Oh, he
ready.
looked good. He looked good out there.
Probably thought he was gonna play. He didn't play.
Nah, I don't think he thought he was gonna play.
No
they said
way.
they said he was the last one out of the tunnel and he did not warm up. He went straight to the bench.
Damn, what a bad teammate, bro. That's an L teammate. Holy shit.
Tyrese was at least out
Oh,
there getting
man.
their rebounds and passing to him.
Tyrese is just happy to be there.
Yeah,
he's
he's
fine.
young.
He
He's just
doesn't
happy
care.
to be there.
Yeah. Listen, this team is great, though. I mean, Anthony Edwards did his thing. Kevin Durant did his thing. LeBron did his thing.
Yo, the fact they went the first half 13 for 13 combined. Of course, KD backpacked with 8 for 8, 5 for 5 from 3. That was awesome to watch.
Joel Embiid has been trash for them.
Horrendous.
Yeah, no.
It's actually showing me, because this is real basketball. This is like how real basketball should be translated over to the NBA. Fully believe that. Embiid wouldn't be a top 10 player if that was the case.
He just can't fit in a specific role. That's really it. Because everybody, if you notice about the team, everybody's in a role. Booker's in a role. Steph's in a role. LeBron's in a role.
Anthony Edwards is Malik Monk off the bench.
Yeah, literally. Ant-Man's role is get in the game, go get a bucket, play defense. That is it.
But what Embiid's is kind of similar. He's getting his normal looks at that.
I feel like they're trying to force it too much to Embiid's style of play. When you see AD, Bam, they're kind of all just fitting in, trying to get it together. Embiid's the odd man out that just can't specifically play multiple roles. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for the team to kind of like gear towards him because you're not comfortably the best player on the team. There's so many great players. You have to like try to feed everybody. And even with Tatum, like Tatum low-key struggled a little bit with trying to fit in and try to fit into a specific role in the exhibition games and stuff like that. So it's like really, like all trolling aside, it's if you can't fit under this team when you're playing with a bunch of great, like everybody's talented, like everybody, these are the best players in the world.
Yeah,
so it's like you have to fit a specific role even when you have this much talent.
My issue with that though is I'm still watching Embiid get to his normal spots that we see him get to in regular NBA basketball. He's just missing them. And then on defensive side, he's a mess. He's getting into foul trouble every single time he's out there on the court.
I think offensively, it's just it's not in the flow of the offense with them.
True.
That's what I think the bigger issue is because all of these other dudes, KD, LeBron, all of them, and Edwards off the bench, it seems it's seamless. The offense, they're coming in. It's not a lot of, even though, I mean, there are some times it's just ISO, dribble, but that's a lot of Embiid's game where you're just getting the ball in the high post or on the block and let him go to work. And that's not really what was working for a majority of Team USA's offense. I mean, they're going to smoke everybody, in my opinion. So, like, Embiid could go out there and go 0 for 10 and have issues on defense and they'll still be fine. But I think we saw that when Steve Kerr pulled him, 2 or 3 minutes into the game.
Bro was like, I'm sick of this shit.
It was close games when Tatum was out there.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
No, Tatum 0 minutes, 30-point smoke fest.
Listen, man.
Hope you guys could see a championship one of these years.
Hey, we're good.
We're good. Team was giving us hell, bro.
Yeah, they were.
Man.
That was on Tatum.
Nah, that was everybody. They was getting bullshit. Like, they was coming down. You see JT Thor doing shit he don't do in the league. It was just
I'm rooting for South Sudan. You saw Luol Deng is out of his own pocket really helping out the funds for the squad. Honestly, probably. But he's been doing it for years now.
Yeah, shout out to Luol Deng, man.
Yeah, Royal Avi's on the coaching staff, too. He's from South Sudan. Their best player is Wenyan Gabriel.
Yeah.
That's in the
Shout
NBA.
out to him.
Everybody else, I don't know who they are, but.
You know JT Thor.
Yeah,
JT Thor's on it? Okay. He's not starting.
You know, there's another guy. He played, damn it. Nah, never mind. I don't remember his name. But he played in college. You probably might know. I just don't remember his name.
I think with Joel Embiid, there's always ebbs and flows with how people feel about a certain player. Joel Embiid was the most hated player like a season or two ago. Mm-hmm. Now, there's more sympathy around him, and he had a pretty good playoff, so now people are starting to come around to Joel Embiid and be more sympathetic towards him.
I think this offseason is the most lenient they've been towards him.
Because he had the comment on the podcast about how he feels he's still the most hated player in the league.
Well, that's the thing.
The Franz stuff was really the stuff that that people started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Joel Embiid is I feel as if at this point he does it to himself. Like he went on the podcast and he talked about Jayson Tatum struggling and Boston still being able to win. Well, that's just a year before he had Boston on the edge of their seat in Game 6.
I mean,
Tatum was playing poorly.
Embiid with a whole bunch of different teams. I don't know what this is all of a sudden.
Tatum outplayed him in Game 6, and then Tatum outplayed him in Game 7. Well, at the end of Game 6, he outplayed him. Joel Embiid for those 2 games was awful. Like, Embiid has had times where he could close out series. You look at the Atlanta series to get to the conference finals. You had a lead on Atlanta, and you were terrible in every fourth quarter in that series. At some point, Embiid has to stop pointing the finger. And that's why I really think that as time goes on, we're going to look at Embiid in more of a negative light than a positive one. Because a player like him that has his resume, the only way to cement that is with a championship. And I just don't see him having a playoff run where he gets through 3 rounds and then the NBA Finals and wins one with his play style and how much he gasses out and is reliant on getting fouls.
That's fair. That's fair. I watched him this past season against the New York Knicks, and he was amazing, and he definitely wasn't at 100%, which is why I still remain optimistic when it comes to him, especially with the team that they've put together this offseason. I'm more optimistic than I was prior to the end of this, or at the very conclusion of this NBA season, but this has been a bad showing for Joel Embiid, but USA basketball is drastically different from NBA. It's just a different brand of basketball. It's a lot more physical, a lot less whistles, a lot more ball movement. Again, in the association, it's a lot of isolation, and that's where Embiid thrives.
This is the first time talking about Philly's roster in a few years where they're going into the season, I think, and it's fair to have championship-like expectations for them. You know, the last couple of years with James Harden, you have pieces going in and out. Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons throughout all the years. This is year 2 of Nick Nurse being there. Year 2 of Tyrese Maxey being the full-time point guard. You bring in Paul George. You add a lot of other vets like Eric Gordon. Bring back Kelly Oubre. There's some continuity there. Of course, you're adding Paul George, who's a big piece.
Andre Drummond. That's
Andre
a great
Drummond, Joel
bench
Embiid,
center.
of course, who's the head there. Caleb Martin, who I think was, for what they got him for, I thought a very reasonable contract, especially because he's put up some really good playoff moments, specifically against the Celtics in 2023. But this is the first year in a while to me where I think Philly legitimately has the roster to be able to compete. Of course, we're not going to put them in that same tier as Boston. They're right in there with Milwaukee and New York. But I think for the last couple of years, Embiid has fallen short, but I also wasn't expecting him to win. Now, when you're up 3-2 against Boston and Jayson Tatum is struggling for 3 quarters, you have to win those games. But this is a year I'm going into the season saying, all right, you got the team, you got 2 co-stars, you got a coach we like, you got the depth we like. This is the year to do it.
I think there's something to be said for a player that's able to exceed expectations as well. And not only win when you're favored to win, but win when your back is against the wall. Mm-hmm. Like Jimmy Butler with the Heat. You know, they're never expected to win, but they go on deep playoff runs. And when the Sixers drew the Knicks in the first round, I mean, that was a tough series for New York. I mean, they couldn't contain Joel Embiid. And it was really those minutes without Embiid that Philly lost, because if they got better bench production, then that series could have went Philly's way. That's how good Embiid played in that series. But also in the fourth quarters of that series, he wasn't that good. I mean, he kind of disappeared in a lot of them. Yep. And I feel like there's something to be said for a player that can exceed expectations. And if we're only holding Embiid to the standard of an expectation, I feel like we're short selling him, because he's such a great player that even if his back is against the wall, he should be able to pull through and win. And he just hasn't done it to this point. And I feel like this Team USA showing obviously doesn't say a lot, but he has been the worst player on the roster when he's been out there.
Yeah, he just doesn't really fit with everything. Feels more fast-paced, more in the flow. And Embiid, when you get him the ball, it's like you get him the ball, he's going to face up or go back to the basket, dribble, double team, you know what I mean? So I just feel like it doesn't really fit their play style.
Now, before we start the show, I know Riv got a trivia, but maybe we could just get the NBA stuff out the way, because we talked about Tatum with Team USA. The Suns signed Tyus Jones.
Unbelievable signing.
The Suns this offseason, Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee.
So Tyus is going to start now. We can throw that Monte Morris shit out the window.
Tyus Jones, he released a statement that said he will start. He will be the starting point guard for the Suns.
Imagine that.
He released a statement saying that?
Superseding the coach. Yo, fuck you, coach. I got it.
What was like on his IG, like the notes page?
Yeah.
Coming off
it wasn't notes, but it was like a graphic of him, and then it was just text on the side. And he said, I wanted to go to an opportunity where the team would allow me to be a starting point guard. So I'm pretty sure he will start. Mm-hmm. I guess right now the question mark is, who is Beal going to start with them? Okay. Probably. He's a $50 million man, but it's Tyus Jones, D-Book, Bradley Beal, KD, and Nurkic. And this team wasn't able to do much.
Grayson off the bench isn't crazy. That's a solid lineup.
Bad defense.
They made a great move. You know, they've had a great offseason.
That's a really bad defense.
I agree with that. I don't disagree, but we've talked about it all regular season long. What did they need? A true point guard. And with the restrictions that they have on their salary cap, to get Tyus Jones on this roster, it's just as good as getting a TJ McConnell like Joel was begging for all season, hoping and praying that they would pull the trigger on a trade. Tyus Jones is one of the more underappreciated playmakers. He's one of the more clean playmakers also, really doesn't turn over the ball. But you put him now where now Devin Booker can go back to playing his natural two-guard position. This was a home run on every level. You don't have money to spend. We still can bring in this player on a cheap contract. We needed a true playmaking point guard. We got that. He can also space the floor. This was a brilliant signing. And again, Joel, you already put your thoughts out on this. Shout out to Joel V. Moran, TikTok, Twitter, the Joel Moran Show on YouTube. Show love. You're 100% spot on. The two teams that had the most restrictions, the Bucks and the Suns, have probably had two of the best off seasons. They did what they can with their restrictions and had moves to better their rosters.
Two of the best?
Two of the better ones, I should say.
Ooh.
I don't feel that confident in the Suns right now competing for a championship.
Oh, same.
But this improves their chances, and I think it gets them one step closer. If they can make one more move, like I was seeing trade packages featuring Grayson Allen, maybe going out and trading for somebody like Dorian Finney-Smith to add length and wing defense and some shooting. I think that would fit with them well, or just getting a big man. But what's not talked about with the Suns is that they had the 5th best starting 5 in the league by net rating. Book, Beal, Allen, KD, Nurkic. They had a plus 10.4 net rating, 125 offensive rating, 114 defensive rating. This team was really good, especially their 5-man lineup, but they averaged the 6th most turnovers per game. The only teams that were worse were lottery teams like the Grizzlies, Spurs, Pistons, Blazers, and Jazz. And in the fourth quarter, they had the worst net rating in the NBA. So if you fix that problem, which is the point guard problem, just limiting turnovers, this team gets much better. And Nurkic, the eye test for Nurkic doesn't pass the eye test. But I was looking at his numbers, and defensively, he's
an advanced stat guy
are
for
amongst one of the best. And it's probably because the defensive rebounding numbers inflate that a lot. But I think their biggest weakness, lacking a point guard, they got it. They got one starting. They got one off the bench with Monte Morris. And I think this team with Mike Budenholzer, their offense, which was not able to be maximized last year with Frank Vogel, this year it will be maximized. The defense, I don't think the defense is going to be a great defense. I think they could be an average defense, probably like 15th, 16th in the league. But this team is an offensive-oriented team, and Tyus Jones and bringing in Budenholzer, it gives you that ability to maximize the offense.
This sounds like a
And D-Book breakout.
Breakout what?
Going back to his ways.
Okay. This
A
feels
re-breakout.
This feels like a one of Dehls' quotes. They're due, because I remember last year you was telling us all year. Eventually, their fourth quarter offense is gonna get fixed. Eventually, it has to happen, and it never got fixed. When you have a Kevin Durant, Devin Booker on your team, it kind of makes life easier on offense, and I think Tyus Jones does help the playmaking department. He does limit the turnovers. I think what you said, or I forgot which one of you said it. You guys just said it. This doesn't make me feel like they can win a championship, but it can still be a good move. And I think this is a good move, getting somebody for cheap, somebody who I still think is a quality player in a nice rotation with the team, because unfortunately, I think their biggest problem is their defense in totality come playoff time. I think in the regular season, they're going to win a lot of games. You know, they're going to be in the 5-6 race for the in the playoffs in the West. But in the playoffs against Minnesota, what was their issue? Rebounding on the glass, being too small. Defensively, offensively, they couldn't get nothing going. So when they can't get nothing going offensively, then defense is going to be an issue. And I think with them, they were just too small. For him, Tyus Jones doesn't make you bigger if he is starting, you know. But I think they definitely had a good offseason. I'm not too high on the Bucks, but I would say Phoenix had a pretty solid offseason just from the draft and free agency, especially with, like you mentioned, the restrictions they did have, the money that they're all tied up to with Bradley Beal and the no trade clause. Like, there wasn't many moves they could have made. Getting Tyus Jones was cool. It definitely fills one of their many issues, and I do like the move. I think it's a cool move for a team that didn't have many avenues to get better.
Yeah, reiterating a lot what you guys said, he's one of the best in terms of assist to turnover ratio type dudes in the NBA. He's been like that really since he entered the league. Of course, size, defense, that's gonna be questions with Phoenix, but they're gonna go as KD and as Devin Booker go. Bradley Beal fit, I think, still is a little bit odd. If he is open to coming off the bench, being a juice 6-man, I think that's the best option for this team, because having all three out on the court at the same time just feels a little bit redundant in some ways. Not that they all need the ball in their hands, because I think they could all play off ball, but I just think he fits better when he can be the primary ball handler on the team, or at least the secondary. When you have KD and Book out there, you're going to be third in that list. So I think it's just a more natural basketball fit for him to come off the bench, but he's also a dude who's still one of the highest paid guys in the league. This is a dude that I'm sure still thinks of himself as an all-star, all-NBA level talent, although we probably don't think that way. But you do have a new head coach coming in here. You do have Budenholzer coming in, so the expectations that you had or what you were thinking you were going to do when Frank Vogel was the coach might not be the same. But I think that's going to be not the make or break difference for Phoenix because, like you guys said, I don't see them as a championship caliber team. But if Bradley Beal is able to embrace a bench role for this team, I do think it probably raises their ceiling a little bit just because you have different combinations you can go to. If Bradley Beal is going to stay firm and be like, no, I need to be in the starting rotation, I think that makes things a little bit ugly. And the fact that he has a no trade clause, even if he didn't have a no trade clause, you're not getting off that contract. It's just going to be real difficult to move around pieces and players to make a starting five work, especially in closing time when they did struggle a lot in the fourth quarter. But to give them, just a little bit of slack, like this is a team that Bradley Beal was traded in the offseason last year, right? This was a team that didn't have as much continuity. They had some injuries that occurred last season. Of course, when you have some of these guys like KD and Bradley Beal who've had a history of injuries over the last few years, even Devin Booker, although he stayed relatively healthy, you could expect that. But I think going into year two, you just have to have some general optimism that some continuity there together will help improve specifically those fourth quarter numbers.
Bradley Beal's a weird case study because he's a great player, but because he gets paid so much, he is viewed as overrated because, relative to the contract he has, he is overrated to what he's getting paid. But his numbers last year, 18, 4, and 5, 51% from the field, 43% from three. If he's on a Malik Monk contract, we're looking at him and we're saying, wow, that's one of the best value deals in the league. This is such an impactful player. Who wouldn't want a player like Bradley Beal on your team? But because he gets paid so much money and because the fit with D-Book and KD is redundant, I do think the bench role suits him more because Tyus Jones can go into games and he can just focus on getting D-Book and KD into their spots. And they can take majority of the load starting to start off a game. It doesn't mean Bradley Beal can't close out games. He'll still be there in the closing lineup, but if Bradley Beal is able to have the ultimate freedom off the bench and then just get buckets with Monte Morris coming off the bench with him and Grayson Allen, because you probably start Royce O'Neal because he's a better defender than Grayson Allen, then that bench unit becomes one of the best in the league and they have a 1-2 punch at all times. So I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't see somebody that's getting paid $50 million putting their ego aside in that type of fashion.
But how does it, because the problem is still going to be they're all redundant. So even if he does come off the bench and he feels comfortable in that role, now when he does close out when Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, he goes back to what? The same thing he was prior? It still becomes redundant at that point.
I think the difference is that if he comes off the bench, the minutes that he's coming off the bench and he's leading the unit, he just gets to do what he wants to do. He gets to have that freedom. In the closing lineups with KD and D-Book, yeah, he'll be more of a spot-up shooter, but it's better to have Bradley Beal in spurts like the Bradley Beal of old than have him for the majority of the game just be a spot-up guy and play off of KD and D-Book.
I don't. It's tough to say that he would just be a spot-up guy next to KD and Book. I feel like we've seen KD really be the best of the three playing off ball, but you understand he's just, even last season, he had the ball in his hands. He's going to have a relatively high usage, but I agree. Even though he is making $50 million, there's certain times where you have to realize I need to adjust to a role if I want to succeed and have the team have the ceiling of being a championship squad. You have the money already. What's the ego? You're getting that money regardless whether you're the starter or you're the sixth man off the bench. If you're the sixth man off the bench, now you're immediately in competition for sixth man of the year. He's that caliber of a player. And again, if it helps the Phoenix Suns and their ceiling, that's the right move to make. And I understand that it's easier said than done because we know superstars in the past. The first one that comes to mind is Carmelo Anthony. He was always in that mindset of I want to be the starter. I always want to be that number one, at worst number two option, but I want to start. Coming off the bench is not for me. But I feel like now as we transition and we keep having those years go behind us, Bradley Beal is getting an amazing contract. If he's the sixth man, that's not a bad thing.
That's a great point, Drew. Iggy made a similar point because when he was coming off the bench and then he would go into contract negotiations, a lot of front offices and teams just saw him as a bench player. And at that point, he was probably looking for like at least one more bag before he left. But Bradley Beal signed through 2027. You know, at that point, he's going to be well into his 30s. Even if he was a starter, you're not getting another 3-4 year contract from a team. Like, you're going to get a 1 to 2 year deal, likely to be a bench player. You're more likely, even if this is even what he wants, because he's gotten so much money, I don't know if he really cares about getting another contract. But if you just want to be valued in the NBA, if you want to compete for a championship down the line, you're going to have more value if you can show a team I could come off the bench and play a role rather than say I need to be in the starting lineup because I'm Bradley Beal. If he's able to do that, his value is going to be way higher. Although trade value wise, of course, it's not going to be there. But after this contract ends, or even if he wants to sign an extension with Phoenix.
I think the difficult thing for him is just coming off the bench when you've proven you're an all-star is kind of a career killer because now every team just views you as a bench player, like Iguodala said. So no team is really looking at you to be a true integral part of
to be fair,
a team.
Though, he's not going to be on another team through 2027. No one's trading for him.
No,
so he shouldn't really care what other teams think.
If you look at the money, I mean, this year has $50 million cap hit. Next year it's $53 million.
Oh, he's got a player option through 2027.
Then a player option 26,
that.
27, $57 million. So he's locked up for the next 3 seasons.
He's locked in with Phoenix.
And then he's 34 years old, and at that point, I mean, there's really no shame in taking a bench role when you're 34.
No, not at all.
You know, so I think that's probably what's best for Phoenix because especially if they make a move for like Dorian Finney-Smith, Finney-Smith makes much more sense starting with KD and D-Book and Tyus than Beal does. He just is a better fit next to
I still
those
think
guys.
they need a backup big, though.
They do.
They need someone after Nurkic.
You don't like Plumlee?
Dude, you got to stop.
I asked him a question. You don't like a Plum God?
I watched the Plum Guy for a minute. Not in the playoffs.
Not bad. As a backup option, it's not bad.
Regular season, he cool.
Well, that's the biggest thing that's holding Phoenix back is just the big man position. Nurkic and Plumlee, if they can get an upgrade and Nurkic can be like your backup, then I think they got a legit
You're
chance.
just like ignoring the defense, like it's just in totality.
Who are you going to trade for?
KD is still a good defender.
Who are
Name
you going
another.
to trade for that's going to start?
Do I
over
count Nurkic?
Grayson Allen.
He's not
You
bad.
trade him for somebody. I don't know who would it
What
be.
is he?
What do we mean by that? I'm allowed to just say rim protector, like a solid rim protector.
I don't even know. Like, what is like Nurkic is? He cool. He just like your backcourt's food. Outside of Kevin Durant, everybody's food. You're probably
Tyus is getting killed on defense.
Tyus.
I don't think
just-
Devin Booker's a bad defender when he locks in.
I just don't think he should be
My
your
least
second or
favorite
third.
statement.
You heard what Dwayne Wade said
What did
in
they
the
do?
Olympics. He talked about Devin Booker. He said he's a great defender. Doesn't get enough credit.
I think it's easy to be a great defender when you're playing with 12 other great.
No, but he's shown he can be a great defender in Phoenix, though.
Yeah, but I don't think he could be your second or third best. I think if he's your second or third best, that's
I mean, no, you don't want Devin Booker to guard the other team's
you don't
best
because
player.
then it gives you now he on offense he's tired. You really don't want that. You want
That's
him
the worst thing.
You want him with all the energy on offense. You want him being a help defender.
Get ready. Ryan Dunn.
If you're relying on a rookie, God bless your soul. In the West,
Just for defense.
God bless your soul.
Okay.
It's not a lot of centers on the market that I'm looking through.
No. If they could have found a way to get Drummond, that would have been huge.
I gave
but-
DeAndre Ayton back.
What?
Imagine DeAndre Ayton and Nurkic as their starting centers.
Nurkic probably get traded back.
Yeah, that's a different
Walker
vibe.
Kessler is on the market, supposedly.
They don't got picks.
They don't have shit.
They have
They
Knicks.
really don't.
They have nothing.
Walker
to get.
Kessler isn't really being shot for much.
I know, it's kind of
He's
crazy.
not
They
making
won
any
at least
money.
the first.
Yeah, facts.
And a lot of Utah Jazz fans are kind of fed up with Walker
He
Kessler.
didn't get better.
Didn't.
Yeah.
On
We're calling
offense,
him
he
better
really
than
hasn't
Rudy
been
2
right.
years
He
ago.
had a good ass rookie year.
He was
And
fire.
he just said, you know what? I did what I did. Like, what else is there to do? Like, just like, okay, weirdo. Like, now you don't get better.
What's your trivia, Riff?
It's not really. It's more of a game. I have a few. I have this one that you guys like.
Remember when you said that and you got ridiculed?
Yeah, this guy. Fuck him. What do we got? 6-man blind ranking.
Let me
Let's
say
run
this.
it.
I'll take responsibility for that one.
He was on
That
top-
one was on me.
he was on
I wasn't.
positivity.
I wasn't anticipating him to say "fuck you."
What did you think I was going to say? I love him.
I didn't say anything rude.
I
to
love
that.
you, bro. My
I
bad.
didn't say anything.
My
rude
bad.
to
You,
that.
hey,
I didn't. I came in
first time, long time.
positive
First time,
energy.
long
I
time.
didn't say nothing.
Shocked the
rude.
shit out of me, truthfully.
I have this game where you can like build your perfect point guard. If you guys want to play
Build
that.
your dream, dude.
Dude, I love that.
You saw people commenting that on the QB. It's like, there's no way you just build your favorite human or some shit like that, bro.
So we could do that, or we could do blindly ranking. It's up to you guys.
Blindly ranking.
Blindly ranking.
Blind
I'm with it.
ranking.
Blindly ranking USA players. So you've had to play for the USA team at one point. Team USA.
This is history.
all,
throughout?
NBA history.
If you hit me with like a Tayshaun Prince, I'm gonna be angry.
6 players Think of them in a
As
vacuum.
always.
Did I pronounce his name right?
You did pronounce his very good.
Tayshaun Prince.
Tayshaun
Yeah.
Prince. Yeah, he's first name up.
Deshaun.
Let me get the order correct so I won't fuck you guys. Well, I mean,
Oh man. I mean,
And should we do this based on their Team USA performance or just them as a basketball player?
them as a basketball
Okay.
player. I think that's a lot better.
So we're just ranking NBA players for the most part.
Yeah, but I'm only using USA. I just because
nah,
I said
bro. You know
only
what we're
the
gonna
best
do? You
players
know what we're gonna do when it comes to USA basketball? That's how we have to rank them. Make it more on brand for this amazing time.
first name up.
Yes.
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo was an amazing Team USA.
For Team
basketball.
USA, he's top 3.
Let's put him 2 then.
For Team USA,
We got this is all time.
All right, 3.
Before we do 2, this is all time.
You're making it. I'll give you a scenario. You guys are the committee. You are Grant Hill. You're making your Team USA, and I'm giving you a list of guys in the vacuum at their best.
Can you just confirm that this is based off Team USA basketball?
No, he told us there's a basketball
What's wrong with
players.
this guy? It's
Can
like
we?
I said it.
Can,
he did say USA players, but then what's the point of having a Team USA stipulation?
I agree, right? So let's just do it based off Team USA
the-
play.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes. All right, restart it then.
Yeah, do the intro.
Blindly ranking these players that have played for the USA team in NBA history. First name up, Carmelo Anthony.
The intro is the same.
No, it's the exact.
I think
same.
you have to do based on their play type
Oh,
shit.
shit. It's like doing that.
You have to. Come on, lock in.
Well, all right, what do I say?
We're live. You know what to say.
We're not live.
We are live.
We're not live.
We're not live, but we're not
We're
editing this.
recording.
We're not editing this out.
No way.
Blindly ranking these USA players based off their USA play.
Love that.
Great
First
job.
name up,
Yes.
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony's one of the best Team USA.
This is gonna get funny as fuck.
Now this is number 3. He's number 3.
Com 3.
Yeah.
In Team USA history, yeah, I agree. Number 3.
Okay.
We're just gonna have some heavy hitters on
That's
here,
okay.
It doesn't matter. If we get guys from the 90s, they played against no competition.
Let's also keep in mind Charles Barkley was amazing. Let's just keep that in mind.
He was amazing.
He was amazing.
Next name up, Paul George.
Who's gonna say 6?
God bless him.
What memorable moment does Paul George
That's what I'm
have in Team
wondering.
USA?
It's up to you to decide.
The worst one.
Yeah, the
it's
worst
a horrible
one, easily.
memory.
He's probably 6.
6.
What was his memory?
Him unfortunately breaking his leg.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a terrible memory.
Shout out to PG.
Bit my tongue.
6.
6.
Positive.
Positive.
Got it.
I already know. Hold on. Fuck you. I already know we're gonna get like a JaVale McGee.
Why the fuck? He played?
He was on the roster.
Oh, well, I'll tell you in advance.
He was on the
He's not up
2020
here.
team,
He
right?
was, yeah.
I'll tell you in advance. He's not up here.
All right,
Didn't
so-
even know he played on
All
the
right,
team.
cool.
Next name up, Devin Booker.
5.
Yeah, I think 5's cool.
You sure?
What's
You're
up with 4?
4. We can get some better names.
All right, I'm cool with 5 then. Just figure we throw out 4. I'm feeling.
Just the 3 names we've gotten so far makes me think like there's no LeBron, there's no kid. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're getting kind of like
If we're getting
average Team USA.
If we're getting a dog, it's next. If we're getting an amazing player, he's saying it next.
We could put D-Book 4.
okay,
right.
let's do it.
All right.
So far you have Carmelo at 3, D-Book at 4, PG at 6.
Yes.
Got it. Next name up, Vince Carter.
All right. 5.
5. They lost.
Yeah, I know.
Shit. So
he
we
does
need,
have an amazing
facts.
highlight.
He's one of the greatest ever.
ever.
That highlight
Ever.
is goaded.
So VC
we
at 5.
So we
Yeah.
need 2 and 1. Yeah, we're cooked. Melo should have been 1 probably.
He should have been.
Next name Next name up, Jayson Tatum.
Oh, man, this is 6.
Number 1.
He just got benched.
Number 1.
You took 6.
He had a top 8 ever points per game in 2020.
Listen, based off 2020, we can justify 2.
Comment's gonna kick your ass.
Off 2020, we can justify.
We only
2.
got 2 more
Off
spots
2020,
left.
you could put him 1.
We can't
But
put him
off,
1.
off yesterday's performance, 6 is definitely.
Whoa, his numbers didn't get hurt yesterday.
You're right.
bad,
He
you
didn't
just
play.
didn't
Numbers didn't get hurt. Averages stayed the same.
2.
2.
He got to be 2.
I'd put
I'm
number
not-
1.
I'm not putting him 1.
No, I'd be
You
damned.
wouldn't dare,
Hell
right?
no.
I
Hell
would
no, right?
in a heartbeat.
So Tatum at 2. And then the last name up, Kevin Durant.
All right,
Number 1.
we cooked.
Sitting pretty at 1. So
Should've
your
put
final
Tatum at 1.
list was Kevin Durant at 1, which is, I think we all can agree. Jayson Tatum at 2. Comments go crazy. Melo at 3. D-Book at 4. VC at 5. And PG at 6.
Realistically, what you would put Melo over Tatum
That's it. Just swap
Realistically,
2
you
and
might
3.
put Tatum at 5.
at
Whoa,
5.
whoa.
I don't know if
if.
Vince Carter's over Tatum.
Now, I also don't know if D Book's over Tatum over one
Game.
game.
Like
I think D-Book's been better.
But again,
in 2020,
2020.
Tatum was the second best player on that team. Bro.
was.
Yeah, but
Come on.
he got benched.
matters.
Like, getting benched really breaks you
Yeah,
down.
he did get 0.
Okay. He didn't play the first game. Fair. What if he gets burned in every
He's
other
only
game?
getting burned because Kerr got bullied. He's not getting burned because he deserved it.
I don't know. I think winning a championship
Exactly. He got benched.
deserves it. Maybe.
He won it. It got benched.
You're right. That's why Drew and Derek White got minutes.
They deserve it.
Man.
Those are
Winning is
all-time
not
players.
a small forward stat, man. Winning is not a small forward stat.
What position stat is it?
It's just a team stat.
Oh, what the? Is that a point guard stat?
No, it's not a point guard stat. It's just a team stat.
I don't know. You might have missed on that
They
one.
might have sent the wrong guy out there.
I agree.
Should have sent the
I
finals
hope
MVP.
Jaylen Brown's doing well.
I can't wait to go back to back. That's all I got. Fuck Team USA. Let's
You
go
seen
Serbia.
the Bucks. The Bucks think they got a chance against you guys.
They think,
They should. I mean,
or
they
you
should.
think?
No, the Bucks fans in the comments, they were saying, "Yo, listen, we split.
split the season series.
They did beat
Fucking
their ass."
Something
plus
about
10-point differential, whatever they
you
were
know
saying.
what's crazy with NBA fans? We never it makes no sense how we still haven't figured out that the regular season matchups
Does
don't
not
mean
matter.
a thing in the playoffs.
Zero.
But
We saw with the Suns and Wolves, bro.
Saw
Past
with
year.
the Suns. The Warriors and the Kings. Didn't the Kings beat you guys like almost every time they played?
2 years ago. you're
That
saying?
2 years ago, and then you guys walked in there and
Think
handled
so.
them.
No, it was tied. The
was
series was
tied.
tied. Yeah.
2022 when we won the chip, Dallas beat us 3 times. Denver beat us twice. We lost every regular season matchup against them teams. Like we did not win a single one of those.
Y'all was probably hurt for some of those though, because that year Warriors are kind of hurt. Curry missed some time.
Yeah.
Draymond, I think, missed some time too.
I think the Dallas ones we blew 2 leads, and then Memphis just went. They was on some shit.
Well, Memphis was the bad matchup for you guys,
Yeah, it was on
and
some shit
you didn't
that
play
year.
them fully healthy.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse.
NFL Power
We're here.
Rankings.
Facts.
Last episode we went 32 to 25. This episode we're going 24 to 17. We could go one team.
Just in advance,
one
my
by
top
one.
10 is disgusting. You guys are gonna hate everything.
This may have been harder than 32 to 25.
I feel like after I got the trash teams out the way, things were easy because I know what the top 16 teams are going to be.
Me also.
That to me was easy. I think the order of it, it's pretty easy for me too. Number 24, I got the Tennessee Titans here.
Okay, I understand that. I do have the Cardinals here.
I have the Vikings at 24.
Okay.
I have the Bucks at 24.
Okay.
Okay.
I have the
That's fine.
Titans disgustingly high also.
Jesus.
That's fine.
I have them a little bit higher, not too much.
At number 23, I have the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, at 23, this is where I have the Raiders.
I have the Chargers at 23.
At 23, this is where I put the Raiders.
At 22, I have the Buccaneers.
Okay, that's cool. The 22, this is where I have Pittsburgh.
I have Seattle at 22.
I have Minnesota at 22.
Interesting.
21, I have the Steelers.
21, I have the Titans.
I have the Titans as well.
Steelers is here.
Number
Damn,
20,
I thought I would be the highest on the Titans. I'm shocked, Riv. I respect it, though.
number 20, I have the Colts.
I have
20
the Bucks at 20.
20, this is where I have Seattle.
20, I have the Colts here.
Okay.
That's where it gets
Wow,
nasty.
damn. Colts, both of you guys. Okay.
Number 19, I have the Bears.
Okay.
I understand that.
I have the Steelers at 19.
19, I have the Jaguars.
This is where the Titans jump in here.
All right, 19. Yeah,
That's
all right.
fine.
No, the Bears are going to get
Where are
this.
the
Yo,
There's a lot of these teams that it wouldn't
It's gonna
surprise
get-
me. Like 23 at the end of the year could be better than 17 very easily.
So 18,
18, I got the Jaguars.
this is where I put Seattle.
I have the Jags at 18 as well.
I have the Buccaneers at 18.
Number 17, I got the Chargers.
Okay. Okay, I have the Colts at 17.
This is where I have the Jacks.
Okay, so Chargers I had at 23. Where'd you have the Chargers?
I had them at 26.
25.
Okay, so you're the highest on the
Explain
Chargers.
that,
Let's
please.
Yes.
start there. Let's talk about the Chargers.
Man, I really love what they did this offseason. I know all everybody's talking about is the receiver position for the Chargers. And I understand. You know, you lose Keenan Allen, you lose Mike Williams, and now you're relying on Josh Palmer, Lad McConkey. I think
Step back 3.
I think Quentin Johnson's trash.
He's horrendous.
I don't think he's good.
DJ Chark is getting
I'm not
better.
even going to name him. But out of 34 games in the last 2 seasons, there were only 6 games that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams played together. That's 17% of games. It's not like Justin Herbert was having these guys healthy when he was out there anyway. For a large part of Herbert's tenure with the Chargers, he has had to do everything. They haven't had a good defense. They haven't had a good running game. He has had to carry the entire load of the offense, and he hasn't had good coaching outside of Shane Steichen, but that was 1 year when he was his OC his rookie season. I'm high on the Chargers because all the optimism lies in their rushing attack. Greg Roman, it doesn't matter where he's been, whether he's been with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, top rushing offense, obviously. But before that, he was with Tyrod Taylor and the Bills. Tyrod Taylor had a Pro Bowl season. LaShawn McCoy had a Pro Bowl year. The Bills made the playoffs. They were one of the best rushing attacks in football. And if you look at that receiving core wasn't all that great. You go back to the 49ers, Jim Harbaugh, the last time that he coached, he had Greg Roman on his staff with San Fran. San Fran was one of the best rushing attacks in football, and they had some good weapons, Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree, but Crabtree was never a real legit dude on the outside, and Vernon Davis was at tight end. But you look at the last time Harbaugh and Greg Roman coached together, they were 30th in dropback rate and 31st in passing plays per game. Since 2018, out of 44 running backs with 500 touches or more, Gus Edwards ranks 6th in yards per carry, 4th in EPA per rush, 1st in success rate, 1st in conversion rate in short yardage runs. This rushing attack will be so elite that you're only asking Herbert to do so much in a given game. And if you're lowering his volume and you're just asking Herbert to be a game manager per se and to not make mistakes, Herbert is going to do exactly that. Their entire identity lies in their rushing attack and being able to be dominant. And I think in an era where we have really emphasized more secondary players, more dom coverage, this Chargers team really has the ability to rout teams with their rushing attack. And they face the 6th easiest schedule of run defenses this year, and the 2nd easiest schedule of pass defenses. So while the receiving core is iffy, I thought their offensive line got better with Joe Alt. Rashawn Slater, when he's healthy, is one of the elites.
Of course.
And I think that they'll get just enough from the receiver position to stay afloat. They'll get just enough. I'm really high on Ladd McConkey. I've been high on him before the draft.
He's good.
Josh Palmer, I think, is a solid receiver.
Underrated.
But it's all about the rushing attack. And if the Chargers, which I think, Greg Roman has never had a rushing attack that wasn't top 10. Never had one that wasn't top 5.
Yep.
If this is a top 5 rushing attack and you get improvement from the defense, a little bit improvement for the defense, well, way more improvement for the defense, because Brandon Staley had them as one of the worst defenses in the league despite spending the most on that side of the ball. This team, I think, can win in a certain way. The same way that the 2019 Ravens won. I don't think the roster is the same. The Ravens had a much better roster. But you look at the Ravens' weapons that year, Lamar Jackson had a unanimous MVP season, and Hollywood Brown was dropping passes left and right. Mark Andrews was a second-year rookie tight end. They really didn't have any proven guy that they had on the outside, but they were able to get by with their rushing attack. And I think Greg Roman has proven everywhere he's went, despite the criticism he gets, and he does lack creativity as a pass game designer, this rushing attack will be something that Herbert has for the first time that is a floor for your offense. Now Herbert doesn't have to put everything on his back. And if you're giving an elite quarterback help and you're asking that elite quarterback to just make a few plays here and there, a few explosives down the field, he'll be able to do it. And I think the Chargers, they're the 2nd best team in the AFC West, and I got them finishing with a 10-7 record. I think their schedule is pretty light too.
My issue with the Chargers, you went on, let's say 75%. I'd probably say higher. 85% of what you said was oriented to the offense, and rightfully so, because, again, listen, I like offense as much as the next guy. Offense is definitely the more intriguing of the two, but the big reason why the Los Angeles Chargers, to me, are not a good team is because this defense is weak. It was one of the worst secondaries. Their rush defense was not good either. So really, there's no legitimate threat outside of maybe pass rush because you have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, but then again, Joey Bosa hasn't been able to stay healthy these last couple of seasons. You do have Derwin James. Hopefully, Derwin James can get back to form from where he was once one of the best players in the secondary in the entire National Football League. But my concern is still this defense. I get you. I'm with you on the rush offense. This is going to be a strength of theirs. They have some interesting backs to put this plan into action with Gus Edwards. If J.K. Dobbins is healthy, to me, I still think that he's the best running back on the roster. But again, you can't bank on that. But I believe very firmly, if he's healthy, he will be the running back 1. They have a solid offensive line. Now you're finally protecting Herbert. You did that one season. He threw for 5,000 yards. Then they started to get injured. Corey Linsley, The center, he gets injured, and then now he's retired. So now you have to go and rebuild the offensive line front. They did a great job of doing that this offseason. The receivers, I think, will come into fruition naturally. Ladd McConkey was a great selection by them. I think Josh Palmer is a low-end wide receiver too, but when he has been put in those situations where he has to be the wide receiver one, he has produced good numbers. But I do worry still about this defense. That's my biggest worry for the Los Angeles Chargers. Herbert is going to be fine. The run game is going to be awesome. But again, what can you really do if your defense is constantly letting up?
It's fair to worry about that. Joey Bosa has to stay healthy. If Joey
definitely.
Bosa and Khalil Mack stay healthy, that's one of the best pass rushing duos. Khalil Mack was a monster last year. He just didn't have no help.
That one game was nuts.
Yeah.
6 sacks.
It's
I
like
think
80% of his production.
Tuli Lotu, what's his name out of USC?
It's Tuli something.
Tupilioto?
Something like that.
I'm forgetting his
interior?
name.
Not
No, he's an edge.
Edge?
He's an edge. He was also pretty good last year as a rookie. They signed Denzel Perriman, who's a great run defender, but he's terrible in coverage. But that's why they drafted Junior Colson, who probably has to come along a little bit stronger. But I like their secondary. At least I like 3 players. Asante Samuel Jr. is a stud. Derwin James should get back to Derwin James, especially with Jesse Minter's defense and the scheme he's going to implement. And then Alohi Gilman, the safety. He was good for them this past year. So I think the Chargers have the pieces in place because they've shown before, even when Brandon Staley was terrible, they would have games against the Dolphins where they shut them out. And their secondary looked really good.
That was 2 years ago, though.
I know, but
Last
to
year, their
me,
defense had a couple good games.
Not really. They gave up
a few.
63 points to the Raiders.
They're more terrible than good for sure.
Yes.
to me, it's more so about the scheme than it is about the players. I think the players can be put in better positions to where the defense can be average. I don't think it's going to be an elite unit, but I think it could be average. And then if you just get a high floor with the rushing attack, I mean, all you're asking Justin Herbert to do is win situational football. And he's proven throughout his career, if he's out there on the field in situational football, he's going to win those moments. It's just that his defense lets up those moments.
You're talking about an average. You think this defense is going to be average, and then their offense. There's just not enough talent on this offense. I don't know.
It's just an underwhelming
10-7
roster
is tough. I mean, Herbert, he's that good.
with
so,
the best Band-Aid you could ask for in Justin
sure.
Herbert.
Because I'm looking at their schedule. They faced the Raiders week 1.
That's
Tough
gonna be a
game.
loss. The
Tough
Raiders
game.
are good.
They'll probably split with the Raiders.
They faced the Panthers week 2.
That's a loss.
But that's also winnable for the Panthers.
But the
it could
Chargers
be
are better.
Yes,
Chargers are better.
they should be.
That week 3 is against the Steelers.
I can't immediately say it's a
50-50.
Yeah, but
W.
I'm saying
How many games do you think the Chargers are favored in this season?
That's the best question. I'll give you the Panthers. I won't. I'll be very
I think
lenient towards the Chargers.
probably 8 games.
All right, keep going. I'll tell you if I think they're favored.
Do you want me to just
Just go through it.
do the schedule? You want to just
I guess
name
we
the
could.
names?
We could do that.
Yeah,
Hand it
Okay,
over, buddy.
Yeah. Because we're essentially doing
Get
that.
ready to learn Chargers.
So fuck it.
All right. Week 1. All right. Let me intro. All right, let's go through the Los Angeles Chargers schedule and let's predict their record for the 2024 season. First game versus the Raiders. This is at LA.
I'm going to pick the Chargers to win this game.
Okay.
You keep me count, Riff.
Yes, 1-0.
I'm looking at them.
I figured you wasn't doing
Week
anything.
2 at Carolina.
I think they go 2-0. They beat Carolina on the road.
2-0.
Week 3 at Pittsburgh.
This would be a tough game. I think this could be a split because the Steelers are going to have a great rushing attack. I think they're a more talented team. I'm going to go with the Steelers in this
Okay,
one.
thank you.
2-1.
Week 4, this is versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's a loss.
I agree.
2-2.
This is at Denver.
This is a win.
3-2.
At Denver.
This is a win.
The only team in the division the Broncos play well against
3-2.
are the Chargers.
3-2.
I think they would beat Denver.
All right.
I think they'll beat Denver.
This is at Arizona.
I think they beat Arizona.
4-2.
This is versus the Saints.
Versus the Saints, so we're playing in LA. Not like
Yep,
they got home
you got
field
it.
advantage anyway,
No,
but
they
it's
don't.
tough to play in New
No,
Orleans.
most definitely.
I think the Saints, they should rebuild already. I think the Chargers can win this game. I got the Chargers
5-2.
winning.
Okay. At Cleveland
I got them losing.
5-3. Yeah, we're here.
versus Tennessee.
I think this is a
They
toss-up
can't get every
game.
50-50.
Tennessee has been talented. With Justin Herbert, you could get those 50-50s. I'm giving them this 50-50.
Okay.
6-3. Jesus Christ.
Versus the Bengals.
This is a loss.
6-4.
Versus the Ravens.
This is a loss.
6-5.
At Atlanta.
Brother, they can't get every.
You're giving them
50,
every
50, bro.
50.
Atlanta has no pass rush whatsoever. They have no pass rush. They were 32nd in pass rush win rate last year. I think that's going to be Atlanta's Achilles heel. That's a toss-up.
But we agree. But we're saying you can't.
And
they
the
can't
Falcons,
get them
they really don't have any pass rush. Their run defense, they lost their defense coordinator. I like Raheem Morris. This is a 50-50 game or whatever. I'll give it to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons.
Okay,
New energy.
all.
At
7-6.
Kansas City.
This is a loss.
7-7.
Versus the Buccaneers.
This is a win.
8-7.
Versus the Broncos.
This
Sweep.
is a win.
9-7.
They're sweeping the Broncos.
I'm telling you.
You had the Broncos like 32nd ranked.
I did, but
only team
I don't think they're going to go 0-17.
The only team we play well in the division is the Los Angeles Chargers. I am telling you this. We're losing both.
Not Jim Harbaugh.
So
Chargers.
let me ask you a question.
Who's your quarterback?
Bo Nix? Stop it. Stop.
He
'Cause
just
then
had a
I'm gonna
terrible
kick you out of the
game in
fan club.
camp.
I'm going to kick you out of the fan
But
club.
I'm just saying, come on, like
He's actually been good in camp. Respect.
I'm just saying though, like Bo Nix, I gotta see it first. I gotta in a matchup next to Justin Herbert. I think Herbert
we
can
lose
sweep the
both?
Broncos.
Don't we got to see
Aiden
who the
O'Connell,
Chargers are?
Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders put up 63 on the Chargers head
That
top.
was Brandon Staley's team. That wasn't Jim Harbaugh's team.
By the way, Chargers are favored in 7 games this series.
Okay.
This season. One of them is
what are they?
minus
10
one.
and 8?
They also have a game that
10
has
and
a
10
plus
and
1
That shit doesn't
in.
even
10 and
matter.
6 right now?
What's the record right now?
9-7.
Okay. This is at New England
This, you got them going 10-7.
This is a win.
10-7.
Yes.
and at the Raiders.
It's a loss.
Oh, wait. How are we 10 and 8?
No, we're not.
No, we're not
We're
10 and 8.
Oh, I thought you just said 9-7.
No.
My bad.
But I think the point of
Pay
what
attention,
the
bro.
point of what I'm saying, and as you can see, they're favored in 7 games. Which games are there any like even lines?
Yeah, I think it was
minus one
Arizona.
is
They were
essentially
+1.
an
They play at Arizona. They're +1 underdogs, and then week 18, the Raiders game, they're -1. Everything else is within 2+ points.
And you look at their schedule: the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos twice, the Cardinals, the Saints.
You know
the
these
Titans,
are games that they can also lose.
the Falcons, the Bucks,
Titans.
the Patriots. I mean, yeah, they can also lose, but I think Justin Herbert
No, I get
gives me faith that they can win those games where they have the
Usually
better
it's me
quarterback in all of
defending
them.
Herbert like this, so I understand where he's coming from.
I just
truthfully.
think this we look at the schedule. This is not a tough schedule.
It's not
This
tough.
is not
For
a tough
this
schedule.
team, though, they're not good.
They're
it's
not
like,
good.
It's
I
like,
think it's a lot of projecting for the Chargers. Listen, if you project them to be good, because it's probably the biggest coaching upgrade across the entire NFL this season, I would say.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley was a disaster, to put it lightly. And, of course, we know what Jim has done with his time with the 49ers, his time, of course, with Michigan. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL in football, period. He's shown that he get the most out of his players. He could develop his players. Teams can overachieve. I mean, when he got to the 49ers, that team was terrible the previous year. And when you have Justin Herbert, I think you could have that confidence. But outside of the run game, which I agree, I think is going to be strong because of Greg Roman, I do think the running backs, although Gus Edwards has been one of the more efficient backs, top, was it 6th in since 2018 amongst 500 running backs.
Yeah.
Eye test wise, I don't see that. I don't think Gus Edwards is a top 10, 15 running back in the NFL. And as much as I love J.K. Dobbins, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, he'd get back, the history of Achilles injuries, especially for running backs, it's really, really grim. And he said, though, if he gets the volume, he'll be one of the best running backs in the NFL. God willing, he's able to pull that off. But whether you look at James Robinson or Aaron Foster at the end of his career, there's just been so many dudes have torn their Achilles and just hasn't been the same guys. Cam Akers, that was most recent.
I guess you said Aaron Foster.
I mean, I love J.K. Dobbins, but we're really just looking at his rookie year. That's all he has, and he was phenomenal. I mean, he was a touchdown machine. He was
don't
one of the
say
most-
that. I wouldn't say that either, because the first injury that he came back from,
The ACL.
yes, he actually ended the season off amazingly.
What? He only played 1 year.
No, he also came back, played the last 6 games, if I'm not mistaken.
He played his rookie year.
Correct.
Then he got hurt.
Correct. And then he came back from that
Then
injury.
tore his Achilles.
But then he came back. No. There was a end of the season where he played.
that was his rookie year?
No.
So
One second.
the last time Harbaugh coached in the NFL, his first stint with the Niners, they were 6-10, and then they won 13 games.
Yes. Yep.
I think
In 20, and I apologize. Finish your statement.
it's not so much that I trust the talent on the team. I just trust the coaching, and I trust the scheme. Like Gus Edwards, I know he's not a top back, but with Greg Roman, he could have those numbers.
No, I mean, he's been with Greg Roman for...
Exactly. And that's why I feel like with Greg Roman, he will just always have a great rushing offense. That's just what he'll have.
I feel very confident about the floor of this team. I don't think this is a team that's a top 5 draft pick. It's probably not even a team that's a top 10 draft pick. But I don't see the ceiling. I don't think you see the ceiling with this team. I mean, they're ranked, 17th, 10-win team, borderline wildcard team. I don't think anyone's saying they're a Super Bowl team. No. But when you have a lot of questions about the defense, about the wide receiver room, the offensive line should be better. But, of course, Joe Alt has to be what we're expecting him to be. Sean Slater has to stay healthy. That interior, I think, still has some question marks. I think there's more questions on this team than anything. But 23-17... I think it's
just
it can happen.
With this team, it's a lot of projection, and I respect the projection because I'm doing the same thing with a couple other teams. So I respect it.
I knew I was right. 2022, he came back week 3. He was not that good week 3 through week 6. Then got injured. Came back week 14. 43% snaps, 15 rushes, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Next week versus Cleveland, 38% of snaps, 13 rushes, 125 yards. Versus Atlanta the next week, 42%, 12 carries, 59 yards, almost 5 a carry. And then week 17, 50% of snaps, 17 rushes, 93 yards, 5.4 a carry. He played in that wild card round, played 49% of snaps, 13 attempts, 62 yards, 4.8 a carry essentially, had a receiving touchdown, 43 yards receiving as well.
When he's played, he's legitimately good. One of the most efficient backs in NFL history.
I know.
Tearing your Achilles is basically death sentence, unfortunately.
He tore his ACL, came back, was solid. Like,
but Achilles
really
is
good.
different. You know it's different.
It is.
AP came back from an ACL. No one's come back from an Achilles.
No, brother's different, man. He came back and damn near won.
Yeah, nah, for real.
Oh, man. This
All right, what other teams do we want to highlight here? What was the biggest discrepancies we had?
You had the Titans at 23.
I had the Titans at
24.
I had them at 24, yeah.
Okay. I had them at 21. I just want to shed light a little bit on the Titans. This is going to be my sleeper team of the season. I mean, I've been hinting at it all season. Really hasn't been a secret at all. What they've done to better this team in this offseason, to me, has been more drastic than almost every team in the league. Outside of maybe the Jets, but again, the Jets kind of had this plan in motion. They just didn't have Rodgers. They just made the extracurricular moves to really complete the roster. I look at the fact that this offensive line was terrible. They drafted J.C. Latham. They they signed Lloyd Cushenberry from the Broncos. And of course, last year they drafted Peter Skoronski. That left side of the offensive line should be cleaned up. I do still have my concerns about the right, but nevertheless, they needed weapons. Treylon Burks was a first-round pick for them. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy, and it really never came into fruition with him. But now you go and you bring in Calvin Ridley, you bring in Tyler Boyd, of course, next to DeAndre Hopkins. You lose one of the best running backs of all time in Derrick Henry. You bring in Tony Pollard to pair that alongside Tajay Spears. To me, I love that because when Derrick Henry was on the field, it was not a secret they were running the football. When Tajay was on the field, it was no secret they were probably going to look to get him the football, or it was a passing play. With Tony now on the field, you really don't know what they're going to do. They can either run it, they can either pass it, because he does provide that versatility, similarly like Tajay Spears. On defensive side of the ball, they had one of the worst secondaries in football last season. They go and they bring in Chidobe Awuzie, and they go and they trade for L'Jarius Sneed. They have had one of the best offseasons at addressing all of their holes. They were a terrible secondary, they were a terrible offensive line, and they had no real weapons, and now they cleaned up all three. It's all on the shoulders of Will Levis to be great. That I do believe. I think he will have a solid season. But, of course, you bring in Brian Callahan, a brilliant offensive mind. Also, with that, brings in his father, Bill Callahan, who's one of the best offensive line coaches. So now, on top of that offensive line where it's already was a question, now you bring in a genius offensive line coach, plus the players that you brought in to protect Will Levis. The Titans can be a sneaky team to secure that last wildcard spot. That's their ceiling to me. But I couldn't put them any higher than 21 right now because there's just teams that are a little bit safer. I contemplated with the Jaguars, but I want to respect them a little bit. But other than that, I think the Titans really can be that surprise team of the year. And that's why I put them at 21. I flirted with bringing them in top 20, but I couldn't do that.
Did you have the Colts ahead of them?
I have the Colts actually at 17.
Okay. I think, for me, I had the Titans at 19. I think the Colts and the Titans have similar stories in the sense of a lot rides on their quarterbacks. With Will Levis, is what can you do? With AR, it's can you stay healthy, and what can you show us outside of those 4 games? But I think, like, if you just take the quarterback out of it, and I know that's important, but if you take the quarterback out of it, I think the Titans have clearly had the better offseason. I think they've gotten better. And I know their offensive line is slightly young. You know, I know they're in the younger department. So it may take a couple games to it. But I think in terms of running back, wide receiver, you know, in the secondary, they've gotten better at damn near every position. And I think this team can be really good. I think both the Colts and the Titans are going to fight all year. But I think for me, I had the Titans so high because they've gotten better, like you mentioned, Drew, at damn near every position. And Will Levis, I don't think needs to be elite or great for this team to really reach that wild card playoff team. He doesn't need to be that. He just needs to be good, limit the turnovers. You know, kind of like what you said with Justin Herbert, game managers, just make big plays when you need to, and kind of have a steady second year. If he can do that, then, you know, you let the talent speak for itself. Tyler Boyd, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Pollard, Spears, then the offensive line, let them develop together, let them get better. And then just let the defense be the defensive. Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, if they can stay healthy, then you got a Woozy, you got Snead that you just picked up, which was a big trade that you made. If you can just stay healthy, let this team bond together, I definitely do think they can be one of those sleeper teams in the AFC.
Yeah, the Titans are – it's funny because – for years, they were always good enough, but not good enough to get over the hump, right? Yeah. Like, they were always there. They were the 1 seed, but no one even really took them seriously as a 1 seed. They're like, we know you're not going to get to the Super Bowl. And what they've done in the following years is basically what I would have asked any other organization to do. It's like, you know you're not good enough. Go out there, get an offensive mind head coach, get a quarterback with a big arm that's got some mobility, get some weapons. They've done basically everything that I would want a franchise to do that has probably run its course with the previous, regime, right? I think Mike Vrabel, you had an obvious identity there. This was a team that, in a very Steelers fashion, they were able to overcome some talent deficiencies just week to week. The fact that they were even a number 1 seed, and I don't think a lot of people thought they had the best roster by any means in the AFC, let alone, or in the NFL, let alone the AFC, with so many good teams they had there. You had Derrick Henry, who you mentioned, one of the best running backs in NFL history, and of course of this generation, and Ryan Tannehill with A.J. Brown, and different just players and coaches and everything that's gone in and out of there. My biggest question is, I think they're going to be a more pass-heavy, pass-attack team, right? I think moving off Derrick Henry, bringing in Brian Callahan, adding, giving Calvin Ridley the contract you gave him, signing Tyler Boyd, everything to me points to a pass-first attack. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know how good Will Levis is. Will Levis might be great. He might be terrible. And if you're relying on Will Levis to be the anchor of this offense for really his first full year starting, it could make or break you. Will Levis could go out there. He could have a C.J. Stroud-like season. This is kind of his technically rookie season. He could go out there and, set the world on fire and have 4,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns. He has the natural physical ability to do that. But he also has, the other issues that we saw all of last season, decision-making issues, the turnovers, the sacks. There was a lot of negative plays on his tape as well. And I think the fact that last year there just weren't expectations around him being a second-round pick, not getting the starting job from day one. And when he did get the starting job, the Titans season was basically already over. Mm-hmm. So nobody was really as locked into Will Levis and locked in as the Titans as we're going to be this season. Because there's a world where they're a sleeper team. The additions they made this offseason on both sides of the ball tells us this is a team that week in and week out should be able to compete. There's really, outside of the top 4 or 5 teams in the AFC, like, this is a team that any given week you're going to go into and they're going to have talent to match up. But I just, my only pause, and I have them ranked at 21, which I think you had them 21, mm-hmm. right? My only pause there is just, you're putting a lot on Will Levis's plate. You're mm-hmm. putting a lot on this young quarterback who, for the most part, hasn't proved anything. I think he's given us those flashy plays, those throws and off-platform stuff, and showing off his arm that we want to see from rookie quarterbacks, that we want to see from franchise-level quarterbacks. But I think he still needs to hone in on a lot of the things that are going to make or break games for you. I think sometimes his anticipation could be a little bit questionable. A decision-making, like I mentioned previously. When we're going to this season, and it's not fair, Will Levis is going to be ranked as a bottom 5 to 7 quarterback in the NFL, probably. Right? And I think that just shows how much talent there is in the league right now. But you're banking basically your entire team on this, because Tony Pollard, given the second half of last year when he was more fully removed from his injury, was a much better back than he was in the first half of the year. But we also haven't really seen him with the full workload. And Tajay Spears, I think, is a great kind of receiving third down type back, but I don't think this is a guy that you're going to give 150 carries to that's going to get work between the tackles. So the run game, I think, could be inconsistent at times. And then defensively, they made a lot of changes, right? You mentioned the secondary additions they had, just additions in general. So the team roster-wise got better, but just a lot of questions I still have for Will Levis. And I would like ideally, you could have kept Derrick Henry around. You're like, we could just if anything goes to shit, we got Derrick Henry back there that we could give 20-plus carries to and let Will Levis kind of ease into this. I think there's put a lot of pressure on him off the jump to kind of be that guy and really steer this team, in the direction they want it to go.
Teams stacked the box on 70% of Derrick Henry's first down runs. So that was a lot of pressure being taken off of Will Levis. And the biggest change in philosophy is just the Titans' approach in offense with Brian Callahan.
Yep.
Because Will Levis, from weeks 8 to 15, their first down run rate was 53%, the ninth most in the NFL. With Tannehill, they were at 45.5%, down from 53% with Will Levis. But Will Levis on first down dropbacks was 5th in EPA. He was 11th success rate. He was 8th in yards per attempt. And this is with Henry on and off. When Henry was off the field on first down, Will Levis was amazing. 65% success rate plus 0.78 EPA. He was one of the better quarterbacks on first down with or without Derrick Henry on first down. But the issue is that the Titans didn't pass enough on first down. Mm-hmm. They oftentimes let Will Levis be in second and long and third and long situations because, like I mentioned, defenders stack the box 70% of the time on first down runs against Derrick Henry. So that first down is only getting you 3 yards. Yeah. So you're in a 2nd and 7, 3rd and 7 situation, and it's hard to ask a young quarterback to climb out of that hole. So I think this year they did a great job helping Will Levis. The reason why I don't think this season rides on Will Levis is because I actually don't think the Titans are as talented as the teams in the AFC South. When we talk about their front seven, I think they have the worst front seven of any team. I think the Jaguars front seven is better, the Texans front seven, and the Colts front seven is better. When we talk about the secondary, the Titans, I think, are number 1 and number 2. You can probably say number 1 and number 2. They're there. With the offensive line, their offensive line is arguably the worst. It's probably it could only be the Jaguars and the Titans for who might have the worst offensive line. If you're saying the Titans' offensive line is better, it's because you're projecting instantly that J.C. Latham will be really good.
Also, Bill Callahan coming in. That's a huge add.
And Lloyd Cushenberry was 3rd in pass protection last year, so he's really good.
He'll be missed.
So their offensive line is probably the 3rd best. Their receivers, 3rd best, right? I think the Texans are better. I think the Colts receivers are better too.
That's not a foregone conclusion. No.
I don't know if the Colts are better.
That's a debate.
Michael Pittman and Josh Downs.
I'm gonna say the Texans are 1.
Clearly,
I'm gonna say.
I think that second spot is up for debate.
DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. That's great.
It's up for debate.
That's great.
Josh Downs was solid as a rookie. I think year 2 will be better.
He's also having a really good camp
AD Mitchell is also someone that has been having a good camp.
That's
and of
for
course
sure
you got
a conversation. I wouldn't outright put the Colts in front of him. I think that's a conversation.
So that's my thing with the Titans and their offensive line. I mean, last year 30th in pressure rate.
Yep.
Their defensive line, they ranked 23rd in pressure rate. Danico Autry led the league in pressures, and he's gone. He's with the Texans, and he got suspended for the first 6 games. They were 30th in drawback EPA. I think the secondary, it got better, but Chidobe Awuzie, last season, he was up and down. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what we're going to get from him. L'Jarius Sneed, I thought last year he had the best corner season. But this slipped under the radar. L'Jarius Sneed is kind of dealing with a knee injury. And the Chiefs kind of kept that under wraps. But I think that was a big reason why they didn't pay him and why they traded him to Tennessee and why you saw that the Chiefs didn't get that much back in compensation for one of the league's best corners. And in the first couple of days of training camp, I believe L'Jarius Sneed, he was not participating. Not that he's hurt. They're just kind of easing him into things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that, to me, is okay, a corner coming off a great year, but maybe this knee issue may be a bigger deal than we imagine. I mean, they took gambles, and I think, a lot does ride on Will Levis this year to just prove that he can be the guy moving forward until at least they find somebody better. But I don't think this team, even if they had a really good quarterback, talent for talent, it's not as good as the other teams in the AFC.
I don't know. I don't think the Colts and them are an insane drop-off.
No, it's not. I think they're similar.
The Colts losing Ebukam today was a punch to the stomach, but they still have a great defensive front. They lost Ebukam, yes, but they did just draft Liatu Latu, so that's going to be a nice replacement for them. Secondary, maybe that's the one part that you look at and think that they could improve at for sure, but they have one of the better offensive lines. They have one of the best running backs. although Anthony Richardson didn't show much as a passer, he showed that he could be a great playmaker for them at the quarterback position. You have Michael Pittman there, who showed last year that he can be one of the more productive wide receivers. Josh Downs had his moments last year, but has been having a great showing out at camp. And A.D. Mitchell has been doing the exact same thing. The Colts are a great roster to me. And I think that the ceiling of Anthony Richardson is why I have the Colts
Where do you have
higher.
them ranked?
I have them 17.
I also have 17.
So it's
Where'd you have them?
of the South.
I don't know. You have them 17. Calling them great is kind of crazy.
I had them
17.
20.
I have 20.
Okay, fair enough. But all right, I don't want to get into some. I think they're a good roster. I do think they're a good roster. And last year they were a win away from making the playoffs.
When you have Shane Steichen, that offensive line is going to be one of the best in the league. Defensively, I think they have some questions, and that's fair.
I think the thing about it is, like, that division, I don't know. I think it puts pressure on Will Levis just because of the fact that the Jaguars, you have Trevor Lawrence, right? Houston, you have C.J. Stroud, and now the Colts, you have AR. If you're the Titans, you're kind of thinking, like, we might possibly have the worst of the bunch, and we're going to be dealing with these guys for the next 10 to 15 years. You kind of want to know fast, what do we have with Will Levis?
I think they did that, though.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that's why they made the moves they made, because you kind of like, you want to see, all right, we just saw what C.J. Stroud did in Houston. We saw what Trevor Lawrence did the year before in the Jacksonville. We're waiting to see what AR was, but his first 4 games, like you mentioned, he was a great playmaker for them. We kind of need to know where our guy lands and how much help does he really need to kind of compete in this division, because before, it wasn't all, it was just Deshaun Watson and then whoever else. Ryan Tannehill was probably the second best quarterback in the division at the time, if not third or whatever it was. So you would kind of figure out, now you have to kind of figure out, you have these 3 young talented studs, you kind of have to know what you have. So I think the pressure is, it's not super, super high, but it's like there where it's like, shit, if you have a bad year this year,
you could be on the
moving
out.
on.
yeah, it could be a chance where we're like, nah, bro, we're going for another quarterback.
I mean, it wasn't this coaching staff that took Will Levis.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be another thing. And their receiving core on paper should be good, but Calvin Ridley's coming off kind of a so-so season. Tyler Boyd's up there in age. DeAndre Hopkins is up there in age.
Hey, man, respect.
It's just like the weapons as it sits now look fine, but we could get 8-9 weeks into the season. We'd be like, damn, they probably overpaid for Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, they probably need number 1 receiver. Damn, like, both of those running backs are cool in the tandem, but they don't really have like a dude on this offense that is really putting fear in defenses.
That's why the Colts, to me, they feel like they're a year away, and I love their playmakers because they're young, they're explosive. I think Josh Downs is going to be one of the better receivers in the league. I really think he's that good. At least like complimentary receivers, he is that good. The Colts, I'm very high on them just because of Shane Steichen. I mean, Shane Steichen, with all the injuries the Colts had, they were 1 win away from making the playoffs, winning the division, 9-8 on the season. You look at their rushing ranks against top 10 defenses, 2nd in yards per carry, 6th in EPA per rush, 7th in success rate. They faced stacked boxes on 61% of their downs, and they were able to still get an efficient rushing offense. And this was without Jonathan Taylor. This was with Zach Moss for most of the time.
And without AR.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Shane Steichen is one of the more brilliant coaches in the league, and that's why I could see them overachieving. Last year, they were 0-6 when they lost a turnover battle, though. They were 7-0 when they won a turnover battle. They were 1-7 when they trailed at halftime. So this was a team that was really unable to win from behind, but Shane Steichen scripted games so flawlessly in the first half that they would have leads going into halftime, and they would have momentum. I think the question marks for them are just Anthony Richardson, his first rookie year, what are we going to get out of him? Is it going to be a high-level quarterback season or kind of just glimpses of what he can be, and then he can eventually break out into that? Because in his short sample size, he ranked 45th out of 49 quarterbacks in terms of on-target rate past 10 yards. He completed 7.7% fewer passes than expected, which was the worst rate in the league at the time of his injury. So this is still somebody that is inaccurate, but even with those inaccuracies, he was 11th in EPA. So even with those inaccuracies, he was able to be one of the most efficient quarterbacks. But it's not just him. It's the fact that this pass protection is terrible. I mean, that has translated over from the Matt Ryan era to where their run blocking is elite. But in pass protection, on non-blitzes, they allow pressure in 2.5 seconds or less at the 3rd highest rate in the league, 25% of the time. And you're talking about a guy in AR who's still learning, and he doesn't have a good pass protection in front of him. The defensive line ranked 29th in pressure rate on 3rd and long. So on 3rd and long, must have it downs. Your line was not able to get pressure. And that's why I think getting Latu was such a great draft pick, because I think he's a blue chip prospect and he can help in that aspect. They were 26 in pressure rate despite being 5th in sacks. They blitzed a lot. And they play the 5th hardest schedule in the league the first 12 weeks of the season. I think their secondary is really, really terrible right now. Kenny Moore is the only bright spot. I like Juju Brents, and I think he's a physical player. But outside of Kenny Moore, they don't have another starting corner. Mm-hmm. So this secondary is gonna be very banged up, and there's gonna be a lot of growing pains. But they do face the 4th easiest schedule of offenses. I think the Colts, of all the teams that I have ranked, I think they got the biggest chance to overachieve.
What number did you have them?
I have them 20. I got them finishing with an 8-9 record. I think they'll be around there. Last year they were 9-8. I think they'll finish around that territory. But this team can overachieve because they have Shane Steichen.
And still haven't ranked the Jaguars.
The Jaguars are ahead of them in my opinion.
But you don't have them ranked yet, is what I'm saying.
The Jaguars are 18.
Oh,
they're 2 spots ahead of them.
Okay, I just wasn't listening.
17.
Yeah. The Jaguars, I just feel like I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a bounce back year.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I think last year, to his standards, he was pretty terrible to his standards and to what I expect from him. Even when you take out the drop passes and stuff, he was an average quarterback for most of the season. Even with all the drop passes taken account for, he still was an average quarterback, and his accuracy really suffered. But the biggest thing that suffered was just his play under pressure. Under pressure, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
He was dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, and I think he'll bounce back. But I like the Jaguars, and I think they're kind of getting slept on. Their defensive line and front seven is really good. They were 7th in EPA per drop back last year. They brought back some key pieces in the secondary. They added some physicality. And I think this receiving core, it complements the team better than last year's. I think, Gabe Davis is not better than Ridley. Brian Thomas is a rookie. But just in terms of the roles each guy plays, this is a much better constructed roster to succeed.
Okay. If Brian Thomas can break out, because I think there is some overlap, at least early in Brian Thomas's career, between him and Gabe Davis. When you look at what Brian Thomas was asked to do at LSU, Brian Thomas.
I heard he had a good day today.
Facts. I heard, but the other 2 days they were saying he was getting locked up. I do think there is some overlap there between Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas, and I don't want that to impede on Brian Thomas's playing time. I don't want him to be out there the first month of the season getting 30 to 40% of snaps, because what they want him to do, Gabe Davis already doing. He's a vet. He got paid, so he's going to play over him. Having Christian Kirk there and Evan Ingram, I think the weapons room is fine, right? It's not going to be this world beater. It's not Houston where you have like 3 top dudes or anything like that. But the biggest question to me for them is just the offensive line, right? This is one of the worst offensive lines last season. They didn't make really any huge strides in the offseason to upgrade that, but they were quietly one of the better defenses last year. This was a top 10 defense in terms of EPA per play over the second half of the year. I think it is just a bit slept on because we looked so much last season at the offense between Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, their struggles, and Travis Etienne the second half of the year, his struggles, and you had some dudes banged up. But I think overall, the roster, especially offensively, fits each other well. It's just the offensive line, because you mentioned Trevor really struggled last year under pressure. And I don't know how that's going to get fixed this year, right? Like, you could scheme things up. You could have quick pass game. You could have schemes. You could do different things to hide that. But I don't know if Doug Peterson is on Shane Steichen, Mike McDaniel level, where they're able just to overcome some really bad offensive lines, especially as pass blockers. But I think this is a team that last year we probably overrated them a little bit, but going into next season, going into 2024, they could be a bit underrated.
Who the hell made this thumbnail?
I know.
I was so curious why DeJounte Murray was
the
up there.
wrong guards.
The whole time I'm thinking about it.
DeJounte and Harden.
DeJounte's fringe.
Fringe top 10?
Fringe.
But like, why are we not putting the big 3 up there? What are we doing?
I have no idea. Well, only one got up there.
We're going to talk, John, because this shit is ridiculous.
The funny thing is, we're not even talking about the top 10 point guards today.
I'm looking at Harden.
Yeah,
and
he
I'm
made
just
that before he made that decision.
I said that was a late
why did he
scrabble for
chose
that, John?
them two?
Yeah, no, DeJounte and Harden, where they might not even make the list. I don't know. You know what I mean?
A question. I don't want to spoil too much, but I would like to ask, what's one team in your top 1 to 12 that you projected a shit ton of?
1 to 12?
Yeah, and like your 1 to 12 ranking. What's one team that
1
like
to 16, the ones we haven't done.
Yeah, I guess sure too. But I really wanted to see how hard you projected. Like, what's
I'll
one
be
team
honest,
you?
I didn't go through my top 12 yet.
You didn't do it yet.
What was the question though? I'm sorry.
All right.
What's one team that you just really projected a shit ton with? In the top 10?
The only one, I guess.
That's
okay.
understandable. Yeah.
All right. The only one, I guess, if I'm excluding the Jets, would be the Packers.
Okay. I don't want to hear a number. I just would love.
All right.
Okay.
I will say the Packers.
Let me look through it.
I did my list already. I'm kind of like locked in here. You know.
Really, I'm not projecting with a lot of teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. This was the first year I tried not to
could be the
project with my
Chargers.
power rankings.
Well, yeah. For right now, in this middle tier, the Chargers.
Okay.
The Seahawks make the next cut for me, so I projected with the Seahawks.
So do you have like a team that you think we would think you're projecting with?
the Seahawks?
Okay.
What number did you have the Seahawks?
The Seahawks, I have
Unranked yet.
They're unranked yet.
Paul,
too.
got
They're
it.
not
Okay,
here.
that's
Yeah.
Okay,
less.
I'm glad you said that because the Seahawks are my sleeper team out of this bunch. I already had them ranked because I think, again, it's a lot of projecting here. But I think offensively and defensively, they could take some strides because of their coaching.
Their offensive line's still bad.
Offensive line, biggest question mark by far and away.
Defensive line,
not even
still
close.
need to make some strides.
Defensive line needs to be better,
Young.
but you brought over Mike McDonald, who just had one of the better defensive coordinator
True.
seasons we have seen in recent years with
Yeah.
Baltimore. Baltimore's got a lot of talent there, but I think there's some untapped potential that Seattle has too with Boye Mafe, with Witherspoon. They have some talent there that I think can be tapped in, and you could turn them into a respectable defense at the very least. And Ryan Grubb was phenomenal in Washington. This was a team that was Washington, the college, 73rd ranked passing offense before Ryan Grubb got there. The next 2 seasons, they were ranked number 1 and number 2 in the nation. Of course, they had a bunch of NFL level dudes. So when you have Michael Penix and Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze, it's easy to put up a lot of points and a lot of numbers, but you still got to go out there and do it. And having Geno, who I think is still one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league, especially 2 years ago, kind of breakout, revival, whatever you want to say it. Last year, kind of took a step back. But I feel like when you watched him, he wasn't any worse. I just don't think the results were always the same. Sometimes his fault, sometimes not. And JSN going to year 2, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Right when Kenneth Walker was healthy the first half of last season, he was one of the better running backs in the NFL too. Seattle's the one team I have in this list, 24 to 17, whatever we're doing, that I think has potential to kind of make that push into a wild card, being in a weaker conference in the NFC. The only thing that's really holding them back outside of the roster, because the offensive line really is my biggest question, is just a really tough division. I think Arizona is a sneaky, really good team this season. When they had Kyler Murray, they were a top 10 offense in the NFL last year. Now they made a huge improvement bringing in Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, going into really his second year fully starting. And of course, you have the Rams and the 49ers ahead of you. So that's 6 games that are going to be really difficult, that a lot of teams, if you're in the NFC South, for example, and you're like the Saints, where I'm not really high on your roster, but you're just going to have a lot more easier matchups in your own division. But I think Seattle made some really good, especially coaching upgrades. The roster, the team upgrades from a talent perspective, I think you could have some questions there, but I think coaching and scheme, they could take a big step.
There are 4 teams here that on my power rankings that we haven't talked about yet. Some teams I know are probably lower or higher for you guys. Like I know the Vikings they didn't make this next cut for you, Drew.
They were 25.
They were 25th. For me, they were 23. And I know for you, Riv, you don't have the Bears in this cut. The Bears are ahead.
Neither do I.
So the Bears are a team that you're projecting.
They're definitely one of those teams because I just think just throw the quarterback projections out the way. I think they're a really good team. I think defensively, you saw last year towards the back end, they had a really great year.
Back,
They were definitely.
He fell off, but he saw the light.
No,
I'm happy.
They were one of the elite division. Offensively, you picked up Keenan Allen. You got Swift. Swift is cool, but I think their running back room in totality is going to be really good. Their wide receivers, they just drafted Rome Odunze, if I'm not mistaken. They have him, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. For Caleb, it's really just walking into like a damn near. I don't want to say shit perfect,
considering he's a first overall pick.
Yeah,
this
if
is
you look
flawless.
at the last 9 or 8 quarterbacks, how many situations are better than this?
This is
number
the best
1 overall pick.
situation.
So
at this, bro.
he has to just go in and be, just be good.
offensive
And if he
line
can go in and be good,
True.
I have him where I have him.
I think the Bears are going to be really good. I got them finishing with a 9-8 record.
Shit, I got him.
What number did you have them?
I have them 19.
Okay.
I just think the teams above them are kind of in the AFC, but they could be above the Jaguars and the Chargers. I think they are going to be pretty good. 8 of their games last year were against defenses that ranked 25th or worse. But I think really what held the Bears back was negative plays.
Yep.
It was interceptions. It was mostly taking sacks.
Quarterback
And
play.
Justin Fields took the most
idea.
sacks in the NFL. He was
Coaching,
up there
too.
with the top
same coach.
sack
Different
takers in the league.
Needed that badly.
And I just look at Caleb Williams. I know he holds on to the ball long too, but he gets it out. I mean, Caleb Williams also could play within structure. I don't think Fields can play within structure. I think Fields needs to kind of play backyard football to be successful. But you look at Caleb, from the pocket with no pressure in college, he completed 78% of his passes. And on outside the pocket throws, he averaged 9.4 yards per attempt and only took sacks on 4.3% of those
You
plays.
need to understand that 78% is stupid.
And the wide receiver room got better.
He can play within structure, and when he escapes, he's not taking negative plays. He's not taking sacks when he escapes, and that's something that Justin Fields took a lot of. The good thing to feel about the Bears this coming season is that they're projected to face the number one easiest schedule of pass defenses. So Caleb Williams is going to have an easier road than other rookie
Another DJ
quarterbacks
Moore year.
Sign me the fuck
at
up.
playing well.
They say I only rock with mid. This is number one this season.
It's not often college quarterbacks go into the NFL and they have more talent. Especially number one overall picks usually don't go to college to the NFL, and you have more talent on your NFL team. Usually your college roster is loaded because that's why you're the best quarterback in college football. He's going from USC to Chicago, and Chicago has so much more talent than that USC team had this past season.
I
In
will say,
comparison, of course.
No, we're here.
He's not saying that.
DJ Moore, 1,500 yards.
the one thing that
That's too high.
I think will regress is their defense. I think their defense is all right, but last year, even with Montez Sweat, 24th in pressure rate, 24th in sacks, that was with Montez Sweat. I think they were able to finish as a top 10 defense because of a lot of turnovers. That's really what made them a top 10 defense. But if they're not getting those same level of turnovers, this is an average defense, but I do think they have young stars. Like, I think Jalen Johnson
gonna
is a
say,
star.
he was amazing
I think
last year.
Tyreek Stevenson is a star. I think Kyler Gordon could be one of the better slots. I think
got a
Jaquan
lot of young
Brisker
guys. They'll get
is an awesome safety
So how are they regressing?
Yeah, that
because
was
they don't
crazy.
have a good defensive line.
The defensive line's definitely in
Montez
question.
Sweat is the only guy on the
He's
defensive
tough, though.
line that could do anything.
You don't like Dexter?
He's not that good.
Okay.
Yeah. So Montez Sweat is the only guy on the defensive line that can actually cause pressure.
Sweat really did change their season last year, though.
He did. Because before that they were 30th in pressure.
I know.
rate, and then they went up to 24.
They got a
Which
lot
is
of youth.
pretty drastic
A
considering
lot of youth.
one player takes you up
Yeah.
6 spots.
I mean, I'll say this, man. There's a team in my top 10 you guys are gonna hate. For sure.
Hey, yeah,
Have
so it's
you
the
announced
Browns.
Arizona already?
Yes, they were 26.
The Browns are top 10.
They are indeed top 10.
Yeah, I know.
They're not close to 10 at all.
We all had the Steelers making this cut.
I have the Steelers at 22.
I have them at 21.
I had them at 21.
Was I the highest on the Steelers?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm like
shit.
19.
I had a different note open. I did have them at 19.
They have the toughest schedule in the NFL.
I know.
They have one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL.
Correct.
Yeah, they do.
And Russ isn't even practicing.
Because you heard Fields was getting starting reps.
I heard.
the one thing that's going
Let
good for
Russ
them,
lose that job.
I think they'll have a great rushing attack.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
the only thing that I think
You have
I'm
to have
excited to see with them. I think Jalen Warren should outsnap Najee this year, and
You want to bet?
he'll do his thing.
You want to put a bet on that?
I think Jalen Warren will get more rushing attempts this year.
More rushing attempts?
Yes.
I would take that. I would take Najee.
You would take that.
Honestly,
Crazy.
I this is a tough one, Joel.
Lock in, man. Take the bet or not.
If you're talking attempts, yard shit. Warren could get 70 less attempts. He could outrush him. Not gonna lie, but just straight attempts, workload. I'll still take Najee. We can make a bet.
Workload.
Scared?
You want to sleep on it?
I'm not scared. Mostly because he brought up the yardage point, and I'm like, why am I going to bet on attempts when you could just bet on yardage?
Oh, yeah, yards war.
Because
There,
I was
my
gonna
hands
say
are up. I
your
don't know.
statement was he's gonna outrush him. He's gonna snap.
Because
him,
that's the thing. I think that Arthur Smith will understand who's the best back, and then he'll start giving him the ball.
Arthur Smith has great run schemes, right? I think he showed that with Tennessee. I think he showed it with
Does
Atlanta.
he just put the wrong guy in?
Yes. What he has to show me is to use his personnel in the best way
This
possible.
is just a Bijan thing, right?
Yeah, he just Tyler Algier. I mean, it's not like he didn't play. It wasn't bad. It just you have fucking Bijan Robinson.
Pretty sure he's on my fantasy team.
He is.
I'm sorry. I know this is a football basketball podcast. Aaron Judge is
Another homer?
the best player I've ever seen. And I never thought I'd see a player better than A-Rod.
Are you guys gonna win
Perhaps
ever?
6-1.
We're winning today against the best
Talk
team in the
about
league.
like a World Series. It's been a minute.
We could.
You always say that. You actually have said
could.
that 2 years in a row.
We can win this year.
Where did you
always say
have
that.
the Vikings, Riv?
I had them 22.
Okay, I had them 23.
I think they're kind of like how you feel about the Chargers is how I feel about Minnesota.
they're kind of low to feel that way.
Well, I just wanted to do it today off their talent because I think their defense is kind of young, and I think they got a lot of young players. I think offensively they'll be great. It just depends on if Addison, if he's going to get, this.
He's going to get suspended.
Yeah, so how many games is that going to be?
I've heard
is nice.
3 games. I've heard if this happens again that he could get cut.
Yeah, if it's 3 games, we're up. 3 games is cool.
DUI is not okay. Yeah, cuts make sense.
He said this twice.
No,
He had a speeding issue last year, I want to say.
It's so dumb to
Okay.
drive drunk when you're rich.
In
general, be driving.
you should never drive drunk. If you are rich and are a celebrity and you
crazy.
don't have a personal driver, you are a dumbass.
Anybody could drive him home, bruh.
Shit.
You know-
I'm
Yeah, in
poor and I don't even
2023,
drive.
he was going 140 in a 55.
Okay.
And then he had this issue this year.
I think the Vikings are solid.
It's really up to Sammy, man.
The secondary is just a concern, and I think Sam Darnold will play fine, but I think he'll make mistakes. That's who he is.
Yeah.
He's a mistake-prone quarterback, and those mistakes are going to cost him some games. But he'll play well for the most part.
I think the NFC just got they got better, like a lot better.
For sure. I mean, you bring Caleb in.
You're a funny guy.
I ignored that. 'Cause
Yeah,
you know what? He's
yeah,
off the
yeah,
train.
yeah,
He's not here.
yeah,
It's
nah.
me by myself. I'm here by myself. Sammy.
I'm off the Sammy.
Oh,
train.
Yeah,
Darnold?
you're done. You're
Okay.
done. After what? After
No,
last,
you
you're
weren't
done.
here when we did first and scroll, man.
He was so disrespectful.
Shameless.
It was embarrassing.
A football player was in studio and he denounced
He
Sam Darnold.
turned into a different man.
Nah, it honestly shocked the shit out of
it hurt me
Why'd you do
mentally.
that, bro?
I don't even know what they're referring to.
Of course you don't.
Now I'm even more
I
confident.
don't know what they're
crazy shit.
referring to.
This is just lack of
Well, what did I say about Darnold?
You
were just
said the
completely
biggest issue
disrespectful.
with the Vikings is that I can't trust their quarterback play.
I think that's fair.
That's
No,
crazy.
I agree. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
That's crazy.
But
No,
what's his
fair.
whole statement?
But before
Yeah,
that, he was
exactly.
high. He was like, "We're in."
Like, right,
on
that's the
Sam
right
Darnold.
statement.
No, you were in on Sam.
He
Yeah,
said he would
I think he'll
take
play
Brock's
well.
job.
Doesn't mean I can't trust him. That doesn't mean I
He
still.
could play well, but he could have multiple games, 0 touchdowns, 3
I
picks.
agree.
What?
That's
Wait,
like,
what? Wait,
I don't know about multiple
zero?
games.
Yeah, it's
If
0
he
and
has
3
multiple
picks.
games, he's getting benched.
You're
You have at least two.
hyperbole.
Listen,
Hyperbole.
if he has that
hopefully.
talent, he has multiple games of that, he should never want to play for a team ever again.
he's going to have at least 2 games with 0 touchdowns and multiple turnovers.
But if he does, that's fucking embarrassing. that's embarrassing as shit.
Maybe 1 touchdown.
But
But multiple turnover games, it's going to happen.
Because I think the one team that made the playoffs that I think is going to regress is the Buccaneers.
I agree.
Pretty easily. I think we probably all had them in this bracket.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way they won games last year was kind of fluky. I think it was a great run, but 4-7 at one point in the season. Then they faced Bryce Young twice and Desmond Ridder. They got a break in their schedule.
That helps.
They were 1-5 against teams that
Can you
made the
just
playoffs.
say the Panthers?
The Panthers. Well, they faced Bryce Young, the quarterback.
What the hell was that about?
I'm just talking about quarterbacks they played. I said Bryce Young and Desmond
You
Ridder.
didn't have to do that.
If he would have said Bryce Young and the Falcons, it would have been crazy.
I said Bryce
But
Young
he
and
said
Desmond Ridder.
facts.
Yeah.
But the
And I said
Panthers'
Bryce Young
issues,
twice.
they were so much
Faced-
worse than
They faced Bryce Young
just,
twice to win
Dude, that's
twice.
hilarious.
You know what?
That
But
division
they
is ass.
They were 1-5 against teams that made the playoffs and 8-3 against teams that didn't make the playoffs. So this is a team that beat up on bad teams, but 22nd in pass block win rate, 32nd in run block win rate. Their yards per carry went down from the season before. Their defense 24th in dropback EPA. I mean, this team was a below average team that managed to sneak in and beat a team in the Eagles that just was
At its
completely off the
lowest.
rails.
At its lowest.
But I don't think
Should have
that
never happened again.
I don't think that it'll happen again. And Baker Mayfield on early downs was pretty terrible, but on third downs and fourth downs, he was the 6th best quarterback in the league.
Shout out to Baker.
So-
Got his bag,
Yeah.
too.
When he needed to make plays, he made plays, but I think that variance is going to go down.
No state income
Shout out
tax.
to the big.
What do you think Baker's first purchase was after he got that? I feel like he's a mature man now.
Oh,
He's got a wife, right? He got
I was
married.
gonna say he bought a watch.
I was going to say life insurance. I don't know. Probably already has that.
Yeah. Probably like in his contract.
What the
What
fuck is
do
calling?
you think?
I'm
You're a
doing
Baker
show.
guy. What do you think Baker's first purchase was?
So I think Baker Mayfield's first purchase was
Some loud?
A shoddy?
a car.
Buying a shorty was nuts.
Maybach?
Maybe a farm. That's his first purchase. He looks like a farm
Tampa?
guy. There's some rural land in
it's
Tampa.
definitely got rural areas.
Come on.
Tampa's not like a city.
Well, the city of
I
Tampa
have
is a city,
friends
but
in-
like you
in
could
Tampa,
definitely get
like Tampa's a farm. No, the farm.
you can
is.
definitely get out in like the sticks type shit in Florida.
I mean, you
don't
could
know
go in
about
New
farm.
Jersey. You can drive like an hour away. And
New
you're like
Jersey
on
is not
farmland.
Florida.
You could definitely get a farm in
Well,
Florida.
the South is like known for
I think
agriculture.
Yeah,
and
but
shit
I think
like that.
Florida kind of gets tricky. You know, like South Carolina is just it's different than Florida. You know.
The best 10 farms in Tampa Bay, Florida. It seems like they got
All
farms.
right,
They
all
got
right.
farms
No,
everywhere.
I know they got
Fair,
farms,
bro.
but
They got
I
farms
don't think
in every
Baker went out there.
Imagine Baker Mayfield's farm.
Yeah, I don't think he went out there like, yeah, let me buy a farm. You know, this is one of my purchases.
He looks
Out
like
there
he's one of those
milking cows
guys.
and shit.
He's from
No way.
Texas.
Maybe it's in his blood.
I don't know. He seems real thuggish to
He
me.
seems
like,
kind of
real-
frat boyish.
Yeah, he seems real like I'm gonna go buy this watch, buy this car, and swag out.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. He got a little dance he be doing.
Yeah,
bought a
like I don't
grill?
know about huh?
You bought a grill?
I believe it.
That'd be tough.
I would.
Shout
I'm
out to
rich.
Baker.
Fits the profile.
So those were our power rankings.
Oh.
Next episode, we'll move on to the next batch of them.
I'm excited.
Two
for that,
QB extensions. Jordan Love and Tua got the contract extensions.
Hey, congrats, fellas.
We
Congrats.
prayed
Yeah,
on
back.
this. We prayed on this shit.
Who do you guys think was more worth it?
Realistically, neither.
Can I, Riv? Fair. Now, here we go. I'll say this with the idea. This topic is unfortunate because now I'm being put in a position to pick one over the other. And that's fair, of course, because I respect the fuck out of Jordan Love. He proved me uberly wrong and was amazing this past season. But again, similarly, Tua also shut up a lot of people and was fantastic this season. But like Riv just said, neither of them deserve it, right? If you want to take that route, that's fair. At least it's consistent.
I just think Tua like
Did Tua shut up?
I don't think
didn't.
he
No,
did.
he didn't. He
I don't
lost me
think
with that. I ignored that part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Wasn't a
didn't.
starting level quarterback, right?
No, he shut that part up.
Yeah, like that was like
people
3 years
people
ago, though.
legitimately said that he was not meant
moved
to
the
play
goalposts.
in the
I'm saying,
quarterback.
you moved the goalposts.
Play in the National Football League as quarterback.
We're at a different
Yeah.
part with
Oh, no,
Tua's.
but he shut you up drastically because he is
Drew,
a franchise
that money
quarterback
is
now.
franchise quarterback money. Has
Which
he
he
shown
is.
that he can be a franchise quarterback? I don't know yet because that playoff game was really fucking bad. Granted, it was cold. I get it. All that cool stuff. He wasn't good. And he has not been good towards the back end of years to finish off the season. That's a fact.
All right.
Jordan Love, and his situation is a little different. You sat for a couple years. For if we're being honest, he was great. He wasn't great all year. He had
Back
a stretch where he was, really good, and he had a great playoff moment. But still, that could all be a fluke. I don't think it is. But you essentially paid him for a back end of a year in a good playoff game. So for both guys
What's
to
this
get
first
that money,
in EPA? What are you better?
That's
run
fine.
off?
Again, but who was more worth it, right? One guy was...
I guess you're gonna go on the Tua speak.
I mean, listen, you put a topic on the list, and I have
Do your
to
thing,
talk
bro. Do your
about
thing.
one or the other. Of course, I'm going to come with some numbers.
I'm gonna sit back, relax, and enjoy this show.
One guy played one season. The other, of course, did struggle with injury. Did come back this season. Did play every single game. That was huge. I think the injury, on top of the fact of yes, he hasn't been great towards the end of seasons, and of course, in his one playoff game, he was pretty terrible.
Don't forget the Buffalo game.
It translated for him not being with Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow as the highest paid quarterback. But off one season, Jordan Love is now tied annually for most money by a quarterback. But this past season, Tua had a higher EPA per play, had a better success rate, higher completion percentage over expected. He had more passing yards. On the deep ball, 20 yards or more, Jordan Love did have more yards, did have more big-time throws, but only by one. He had 45. This is with quarterbacks that had at least 45 attempts, 20-plus yards over the field. Third highest adjusting completion percentage in the NFL. 26 big-time throws, one less than Jordan. And again, he got paid less than Jordan Love. One playoff win gave Jordan Love, was it $8 more million than Tua Tagovailoa? Again, Jordan Love was fantastic this past season, but constantly we see Tua get slandered. When this past season, he was nothing short of amazing, but of course, fell short of their ultimate goal, which was winning a championship.
You would have took a angrier approach because I feel like he's about to take a very
I don't need to be angry.
disrespectful approach.
And if he's going to be
I just
disrespectful,
wanted
that's
you to,
completely okay with me. That's Mr.
Dehls
Moran.
is going to be kind of the medium.
Honestly, he already. It's irrelevant. When this guy talks about Tua, it's irrelevant. It really is.
Okay, I
Why
respect
is it
that.
irrelevant?
Because again, he
I think we
has
have
Jordan
relevant
Love.
points.
And again, That's where
It's because I don't have a dog in this race?
There's no dog. I have no
Yeah.
dog.
Dehls, I need to ask you a question. When the
Because you
dog,
were with me with Jordan Love.
See why he asked that?
You were with him with Tua. So you're kind of just like,
Dehls, let me
doesn't
ask you a
matter.
question. I just want to get
Wishy-washy
this out the way real quick.
Okay.
When Mike McDaniel came to the Dolphins, what did we say?
We said Tua's going to have a great statistical season.
Okay.
Here comes Dehls.
I just want to get that
was
out
it
the
Mike
way.
McDaniel or was it Tyreek Hill?
It was Mike McDaniel.
What really
And
moved you?
Ty-
It was Tyreek Hill.
both.
First, it was Mike, and then it was Tyreek. We're like, yeah.
We wanted Mike McDaniel. We're Jets fans. We wanted Mike McDaniel.
It's on y'all. Enjoy Robert
First of
Saleh.
all, you're saying Jordan Love got paid more. Face value, okay. Tua got more guaranteed money. He got more guaranteed money. When you look at Jordan Love's cap hits per spot rack, this year, $20 million, 2025, $29 million, 2026, $36 million, 2027, $42 million, and 2028, it spikes. It's at $74 mil. At 2029, it's $34 mil. It's a voided dead cap year. But in 2028, they can put that money on the back end.
Yep.
So we're talking about the next 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons of Jordan Love. He's getting paid $42 mil per year, if not less. This is Daniel Jones level cap hits, and he's way better than Daniel
Yeah.
Jones. Somebody who didn't deserve his contract, by the way.
He only got 40. He's like 15th highest paid quarterback now, which may be too high.
Who
I don't know.
would this is a simple question between Jordan Love and Tua. Would you rather a guy that has had at bats 3 times and swung and missed each time, or a guy in Jordan Love who's been at bat and swung and hit a home run his first time up?
And what about the second time up?
We're waiting.
No. We saw it.
He got there.
We saw it.
He got there.
Right.
He got there.
I'm being put in a position where I have to hate on Jordan. I don't want to do that.
He got there.
You've done it before.
That's the thing. He got there.
I'm done with it though.
Tua has collapsed every single year of his career thus far.
They forget about the Cowboys.
His
game.
rookie
They do.
season, week 17
Why
versus
do they
the Bills.
forget about the Cowboys game?
to get into the playoffs? He's choked.
You know what's crazy? Jordan
Second
Love's
year.
shining moment in the NFL is against the Cowboys. But if Tua would have played against the Cowboys in the playoffs, he probably would have smoked them too.
This is the difference. The Dolphins in the last 2 years are 3-2 against teams that have made the playoffs.
3-2, you said?
3-12.
Oh, I thought so.
3
I'm
and
like, that
12.
sounds wrong. Yes.
Tua has only thrown more than 2 touchdowns in one of those games. In 15 games, Tua, this number one, all this shit you were saying.
Speak about the defense too when
two
you do this, though.
touchdowns in only one of those games.
And what did the Dolphins defense give up in those games?
This past season,
It's just so it's you always pick and choose.
what do you mean pick and choose? He was terrible.
But the
Was he
Dolphins
good against the
defense.
Titans?
Okay, his rookie
Was he
season.
good against the Bills?
No, that was his
Was he
second
good against
year.
the Ravens?
That his
Bro,
Bills
I'm
his
talking about
rookie
this
season.
past year.
I don't
This
care about
past
the
year.
Against the
defense.
Titans, he was solid.
He wasn't good. He
Bills
choked.
second time off.
He
Bill's
choked.
second. He did not
Tua
choke.
had
The
two-
defense gave up 14 points
had
in
2
3
chances.
minutes. This is where you lose me.
Tua- bro,
the defense was
that's cap.
horrendous.
That's cap.
They were up double digits.
Tua was
the
also
defense gave
horrendous.
up 14 points in 3 minutes.
Tua was also horrendous. The
He was
Dolphins'
not
offense in the fourth
horrendous.
quarter, they had
were
a
up
chance to get a
double
first down.
digits.
They had a chance to get a first down. Tua didn't convert. They had to punt the ball. The Titans go ahead and score. Tua has the last crack at the ball.
The
and
defense
doesn't do
was
nothing.
atrocious.
Is this not a fact? Down the end of the season, towards the end of the season, the Dolphins just needed one win to clinch the AFC East. And how many weeks
Did they not go on the road and beat Dallas? That's not big.
they lost against the Titans? They lost against the
heard.
Bills. They lost
The Bills
against
were a
the
great
Ravens.
team. They won the division. You
1
gotta
and
beat
5
great
against
teams,
playoff
bro.
teams. The Dolphins were 1 and 5 against playoff teams last year, and they got outscored by 91 total points in those games. They weren't even competitive.
So 91 points.
I think that
That's-
Baltimore
that's
game
not
probably half
also
them points.
on the
Yeah,
defense.
no,
They got blown out by the
Baltimore
Bills the
got 40
first time
in there,
around.
for sure.
That's not also on the
like 50,
defense.
Of course that's not.
That's
14, bro.
91's egregious.
Football is a team game. The same way you
Like
could,
Herbert gets praised for, oh wow, look how many
we go, here
points
we
he
go, here we
scored.
go,
But
here
damn
we
it,
go.
this defense
we
also
go.
gave up this exact same amount of points. That defense sucks.
Football
but
is
not
a
the
team
same.
game. So-
Not that same energy for this
the
defense.
same thing could be said for Jordan Love in the playoffs versus the Niners. If the Packers were to catch an interception, they probably would be advancing to the NFC Championship game.
Packers defense gave up what? What is it? 24
The
points.
Packers defense allowed the Niners to
one of the
come back
best
in the fourth
offenses in the
quarter.
game?
Packers defense was pretty good that game.
Yeah, but the Packers dropped multiple interceptions that could have sealed the game. That's a fact.
Jordan
if
Love
their
threw
defense
interceptions.
no, I understand that, but I'm saying Tua. Wow, you can talk about the defense not being that good. Tua, 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in those games. 83 passer rating. This isn't a franchise quarterback. He was a 44th ranked quarterback against pressure
You know what's
last
funny,
year.
bro? We could look up the stats of Tua versus the Chiefs and Jordan Love versus the Niners, and it's no real difference.
Yes, it is a real difference.
Look at the
Tua
passer
couldn't get
rating.
down
Look
the
at the
field.
QBR. Look at the passing yards. It's the same fucking thing.
Tua couldn't get down the field,
And it
bro.
also was -4 degrees in Kansas City.
Tua couldn't get down the
People
field
lost fingers
at all.
for it. But I don't know if you knew that.
I heard about that. Game was crazy. That game
Multiple
was crazy.
fingers were gone.
Tua
hard
this,
to watch,
Tua this
honestly.
past season, he was the 37th ranked quarterback in the fourth quarter, off on the fourth quarter, 34th ranked quarterback in the red zone. When you look at Jordan Love, his most high profile games outside of the Niners game, he was excellent. Jordan Love versus playoff teams went 3-2, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 100 passer rating. Tua has never been this good against playoff teams in a stretch. He's never been this good in a high pressure games. Thanksgiving versus Detroit, Jordan Love lit them the fuck up. Against KC, he lit them up on primetime. Week 17 against the Vikings, Brian Flores, top 10 defense. He
stop.
lit them up.
Don't move me like that.
Versus
Stop.
the Bears, week 18, the Bears were the number one defense
Now
in the
you wanna
back
give him
half of the
credit.
season.
I respect that.
Jordan Love
It was great.
lit them up.
It was a great
And
game.
then in the first game of the playoffs, he lit the Cowboys up. He had one of the best playoff
But when I
debuts
talk
in NFL
about Tua
history.
going up against Dallas and
That was
doing
a
his thing-
regular season game.
Okay, and
Jordan Love also has more than just one game to look at.
in what
You
reference?
might have been cooking.
Last year,
And
beating
talking
good
about
teams?
you just said 3-2.
well, no, I'm saying the KC game. I'm saying down the stretch, the Dallas game, the Chicago game, the Minnesota
Chicago
game.
now is a good team.
Good defense going on the road.
Minnesota's now a good team.
Good defense.
They were good defenses.
What
They were
good
definitely good
defense
defenses.
was Tua beating last year, bro?
To be fair, though,
Tua
Minnesota
beat
had
no good
quarterback.
defense last year.
Not.
Can you name me one off the top of your head?
Was
Jets?
Dallas home or
Yeah,
away?
Jets lit you guys up actually.
Yeah,
Both
that
times.
shit really. I mean, it's Zach Wilson.
Right? No.
Minnesota's quarterback.
Now
though,
we're moving goalposts again because the Jets are one of the best defense in the league. Torched you guys, but we give credit to Minnesota. We give credit to the Bears. Don't do that. Don't pick and choose. That's all I ask.
I'll say this. I think
The
it's
Jets'
really
offense
easy.
was so much worse, though.
I think it's really easy to answer
then
this
what?
question.
Then the Bears?
Yeah,
Bears
100%.
offense still was bad.
No, not like the Jets,
No.
bro.
The
The
Jets
Jets couldn't
couldn't move the
fucking get a
ball.
first down.
Jets couldn't move
The
ball.
Jets at least they had Brees Hall, they had Garrett Wilson,
It didn't
similarly
matter.
to the Bears having DJ Moore.
Bro, the Jets couldn't move the ball.
What were the Bears doing?
The Bears were able to move the ball.
Barely.
They actually
Their
were
run
able
game-
to
their
move
run
the ball.
game was really
They were-
good.
Yeah, it was really good.
And
I think it's
run
easy to
game-
answer this question though. No, the run game for the Jets
Bro,
last year
there
wasn't
was
that
times I
efficient.
watched the Jets
You
last
still
season.
got the ball to Brees Hall. He had
They-
92
less than
receptions.
less than
Bro,
1,000
He had
yards.
942.
Bro, there was times I watched the Jets.
What was his
multiple
yards per
times,
carry?
Multiple times.
Almost
Under
fi-
4.
No, that's wrong.
I don't know.
Multiple times I watched the
lying
Jets
on your
last
own guy.
season. From the first minute to the 60th minute, I didn't see us
Your
get more than
offense
2
is
first
terrible.
downs.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight that. It's horrible. It's one of the
That's
worst
the
I've
thing.
seen.
Ultimately,
Ever.
who was worth this contract more? And I think it's not about what they've done. For Tua, it's more about what he's done because he's played longer. Jordan Love has only played one year in the
full
NFL.
season. Mhm.
This is about
4.5.
That's amazing.
This is about what they will be.
Considering?
Whose contract has a better chance to age
That's
better?
a better question.
That's Jordan Love. Jordan Love is a legit franchise
I
quarterback.
think the best way to answer it is if both of these guys were on the open market, who gets more money?
I mean, he just got paid more. And
To-
Tua
to
also
me,
has concussion history.
I'll be honest. I was a bit not surprised because I knew Miami was going to do it, but I think it probably would have been smarter for Miami to be like, Tua, go out there and see what your market is. Because I
Tua
don't
would have got paid.
I don't know if another team's come with that contract.
They most definitely are
What
giving
team?
him
What team?
the Broncos.
Yeah, Bo Nix.
I'm sorry.
They're not going out and paying Tua. You just spent the
You
first
have
round pick on
nothing for him
bonus.
after that though. Like you don't have a team around Tua.
But we needed a quarterback.
Realistically,
We would pay
what
him that
teams out
money.
there are going out there and paying Tua 150 plus million guaranteed?
The Giants.
Was that the guaranteed money? I'm sorry, I might have misspoke. What was
The guaranteed
guarantees?
money, I think Tua was at like 167 mil,
Okay,
and
that's-
Jordan Love was at 163. It's only $4 million difference between the
They got paid the
guarantees.
same.
They
Essentially.
essentially got paid the same.
Listen, the big difference is that Jordan Love down the stretch of the season, the final 8 weeks, 18 touchdowns,
He
1
was
interception.
amazing.
The way he played, the heights he reached, the throws he made is something that I just don't see is capable for Tua. to do.
Tua has made insane throws too.
not like Jordan Love.
That's
Not
just
like
That's
Jordan
a
Love.
tough thing
Like,
to
what
say.
kind of-
Not like Jordan Love.
How?
No.
No,
How
no,
is
no,
that?
no,
Oh,
I'm saying
thank you.
because Tua,
Thank
like
you.
from weeks 1 to 6, is fake.
He's fake one of them dudes.
When he faces some of the weakest competition, yes.
Yo, you are a rider. It's insane to me.
I'm not saying,
bro, it's a fact.
No, it's not against your beloved New York Jets. He fried you both times.
I understand. Shout out to him down the
But
stretch.
don't say that when the Giants are one. Okay, that's a different argument.
Every year.
That's a different argument. And Jordan Love, again, you're putting me in a position where.
Oh no! First year Jordan Love went on the road to fucking the
best team in the
49ers and lost.
How
dare he?
This was Tua's first full year playing from start to finish.
I mean, it's also an issue that he can't stay healthy.
And Jordan Love's season was better.
A knock against him.
This year,
Jordan Love was better this year than Tua.
Jordan
100%.
Love's better quarterback.
Win?
He has a
off
higher
this season.
ceiling.
He had 32
I already
touchdowns.
told you what it was.
Jordan Love was second in touchdowns. Tua didn't have more touchdowns than Jordan Love this year.
Did he have more yards? Remember what moves you more, yards or touchdowns?
Who was in a better offensive infrastructure this year, Tua or Jordan Love?
Definitely Tua.
Tua's number. I mean, Jordan Love is
Tua has
top
one of
10.
the best.
That's arguable.
Jordan Love's top 10, but Tua's probably number one.
On those
or
deep
two.
throws,
Niners.
the lowest time to throw was Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes,
under
because
3
Mike
seconds.
McDaniel schemes things up.
You also
again,
have
deep down the
fastest receiver
field,
in the league
20
that could
yards
just get 20
beyond
yards
the
down
field.
the field in a second.
He
How do you
has-
scheme that up fast?
You have the fastest
There
player
is
in the
no
league.
way. There is no way
Helps.
you're telling me the Packers' offensive infrastructure is better than Miami. Miami just had a top 5 rushing attack.
Tua's
they have
offensive
Tyreek
line
Hill
still
and
not
Jalen
good.
Waddle.
Still not good.
Jalen
Waddle was injured a lot this season.
And Jalen Waddle would be the best receiver on the Packers.
Of course.
Easily.
Of course.
They had a way better rushing attack than the Packers. The Packers, to the first half of the year, that Jordan Love gets blamed for all the problems that happened in Green Bay, that was mostly on Matt LaFleur. And then the young offense really not being on the same page. Jordan Love led the youngest offense in NFL history to the playoffs. He has shown he can elevate talent around him in his first season. Tua is playing with 2 great receivers. Tyreek Hill is an elite receiver. Jalen Waddle, if he's not with Tyreek Hill, could be one of the better receivers.
Did he not elevate
as
Tyreek
well.
Hill?
No.
Why did he have 2 of his best receiving seasons?
Because they're using Jalen Waddle as a decoy to open up the field for Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has always been
Jalen
as
Waddle's
good.
first year with Tyreek Hill had 1,300 yards, his career high.
That cheat motion they have with Tyreek Hill gets him just so many different looks.
Every team in the league can do it.
Is it safe to say Tua had a better first end and Jordan Love had a better back end?
Like
I won't
in a
deny
totality,
that.
Jordan Love was better.
I don't know if you can say that for the
No,
season.
for the season,
I
Jordan
think
Love was
you can.
better. Jordan Love was better.
Again, you guys love to dick
know.
suck advanced stats
I don't know.
until it's time to talk about
it's not
Tua.
dick
No,
sucking
because
advanced.
I
Not
already
even that.
told you.
I'll be honest, Drew,
EPA
I don't
per
give a
play,
fuck about
success-
the advanced stats.
Oh, then
I
what-
watched the game. Jordan Love's a better quarterback.
All right, and how did you feel after San Fran? How did you feel after that?
Jordan Love is a better quarterback.
What kind
felt
of
the same
fucking
way.
statement is that when Jordan
How did you
Love
feel
was
about
mid-
Tua against Kansas
I said he
City?
was terrible.
Jordan
but you
Love
guys
was
are
not
not
as
being.
bad as
You are
Tua.
not against San Fran. He
was
was
not.
pretty fucking
no,
bad.
no, you
and
cannot
on top
Given
of
the
it,
conditions,
given
Didn't Jordan Love throw for 2 touchdowns in that game?
threw 2 interceptions.
He threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
he threw for $100.
It was like
$170.
a $190. Yeah,
It started pouring down rain.
And it was
You know that, right? It started pouring down rain. No, you know that though.
I just
Yeah, but you're not
don't.
being fair.
I
You're
don't
not
even
being
want to
fair.
have these
not being
conversations
fair.
because
Who
you
would you-
don't
you
stay
rather have Tua or
consistent.
Jordan Love?
I already said I don't. Either which way you shake it,
No,
I'm
pick
cool
one.
with. I'm gonna take my guy.
You know Jordan Love is better. Jordan Love is better.
Objectively speaking, the Miami game was much tougher to play in.
Listen, there is nobody that walked away from this season, start to finish, and said, I'd rather have Tua than Jordan Love as my franchise quarterback.
Jordan
That's
Love was
insane.
amazing.
That's
This is also
insane.
his first time playing, which is why
Yeah.
they also are moving.
And
That's,
Jordan Love-
that's why it's so impressive.
Yes, it's his first time playing. He sat behind a Hall of Famer for 3 years where everybody called him a bust and said he wasn't
they
shit.
also did the same with Tua when they put the worst offensive line in front of him. He had one of the worst weapons group. He had a bottom 3 rush offense, and you guys said that he wasn't starting level.
Jordan
you guys
Love-
didn't give him any time to develop, and now
You
that he
called
actually
Jordan
has
Love
a
a
great,
joke.
and I was wrong.
Yes, you call Jordan Love a joke. That's worse than me saying Tua's not a star level
It's the
quarterback.
same
no,
shit.
It's not. What's
not
a
the same
joke?
shit.
Both
Let's
aren't
talk
good.
about it.
Both aren't
Let's talk
good.
It's the
about
same
it.
They're
shit.
both
The only
terrible.
difference
They're
is
both
that you
terrible.
have not accepted that you were wrong. I've accepted
What
that
am
I
I
was
wrong
wrong.
about? Tua hasn't won a playoff game. He stinks against playoff
and
teams.
Jordan Love stunk against the team that went to the Super Bowl.
But the path
Same
on how
like
we got
Tua,
there was
who, his
it
team
means
actually
something.
won the whole thing.
Why are you so high on the Packers this season?
tiebreaker
You said you was
They have
really
a
high on the
great
Packers.
overall team.
But why is the real reason you're really high on the Packers?
They have a
Because Jordan
great
Love is
overall
that
team.
damn good.
But I'm
They
also
have
high on the
yes,
Dolphins.
The Packers have a great team, but also you know that Jordan Love's going to take another step because
so
last year
is
was his
Tua.
first year starter. Is he?
Yes.
What you mean? He's been walking in place for 3 years. What, he hasn't
What does
won
that
a
even
playoff
mean?
game.
He's walking in place?
He chokes
What kind
every
of
time
statement
down
is
the stretch
that?
of the season. I feel like I'm
Against the Cowboys, we really like you guys constantly say he's done nothing, but the Cowboys game was a huge win on the road.
I feel like I'm
Well, if
replaying
that's
the
a
same
huge
thing.
win on the road, what's the Jordan Love playoff win?
I mean, obviously he won a playoff game.
It's a
That was
better
a way.
win.
It is.
That's
way better
fucking
win.
generational.
It
If that's huge,
But again,
bro.
if Tua plays against the Cowboys in the playoffs, he beats them.
I mean,
Maybe.
it's a hypothetical.
Because
sure,
also
yeah.
Tua played against the Cowboys
What was the-
while
what was
Tyreek
that-
was injured.
what was the final
Excuse me,
last
not
score?
Tyreek. Not
It was a
Jalen
close
Waddle was
game, no?
injured. Yeah,
It was a one-possession
and
game?
who had a game-winning comeback?
I'm just saying, I don't know if you could just assume he's going to go in and do it again. Like,
Nobody
that was
here
fraudulent.
picked. Did you pick Dallas to beat the Packers that
Nobody
day?
here picked the Packers.
Nobody
Nobody-
did.
no.
Nobody
Dallas.
did.
No, but the Packers had a really good shot, though. They matched up with them
did,
well.
yeah. We
They matched
laid that
up.
out.
You could say that in hindsight now.
This is why I'm not giving Tua an excuse for losing to the Chiefs in the bad weather game. Because
tough-ass game.
okay, I understand it's a tough game. It's a tough environment. There's no doubt that it's a tough environment. The Dolphins put themselves in that environment because they had a chance
That's a
for
fair
multiple
point.
weeks in a
Yes,
row
yes, yes.
to clinch the division.
The
What
losing
were
losing
they?
to the Titans is definitely a huge
That was a
blemish on the
gimme
season.
win. That was
a gimme
They
game.
were up double digits with 3 minutes left. As much as you can blame Tua, you need to keep that same energy with the defense.
There's no doubt, but Tua gets a lot of the blame too.
How much? Are we giving more blame to Tua, who put them in that position in the first place, up double digits?
It could
Or
definitely
are we
be-
going to go up? Are we going to give the blame to the defense that against a bottom offense in the league let up 14 points in 3 minutes? Do that math.
Is a franchise quarterback not supposed to get a first down on third down
But
twice?
again-
he had 2 times to get a first down on third down. He had 2 times, and he had open receivers on both third downs. I hope you know that. And he missed both. What do you mean? It's on him too.
Are you again, like I just said, as much as you can blame Tua, you need to blame the defense even more.
What is the common theme whenever the Dolphins lose to playoff teams?
Tua.
What is the common theme?
Everyone but Tua.
Who tends
It's
to
both. That's again. I hate that fucking statement so fucking much
tends to play
because
poorly?
I'm the only one here that actually accepts accountability when my fucking take is wrong.
Whoa,
Nobody else here fucking does that.
What was the Mike McDaniel shit when they lost?
What do you even mean by that?
When you were blaming Mike McDaniel for the Titans, Al.
How did I do that?
Was it not the Titans game? There was one of these games where it was on Mike McDaniel.
He definitely blamed it on the Chiefs game.
Was it the Chiefs game? I remember there was one game like Mike
facts,
McDaniel,
facts,
X,
I
Y, and Z. I
remember.
was
The
like,
only one that I would say is that the versus the Chiefs, I wanted them to air it out more. But again, nothing was working that day for any parts of the offense.
Patrick Mahomes looked fine. I mean,
Because
they
he's-
were going crazy.
The
He's
greatest
a 10
quarterback
times better
of
than
all
him.
time went into a first round playoff game and was Patrick Mahomes.
it's just hard for me with Tua when like you're gonna have to go this upcoming season. If you don't win the division, if you don't get the number 1 seed in the AFC, you potentially have to go into Buffalo, into Kansas City, into the Jets if they're able to stay healthy, into Baltimore, like all these cold environments, and that's one of his biggest issues. And there's just no way to overcome.
And Jared
that.
Goff's a better quarterback than Tua, in your opinion?
I mean, I think they do similar things.
But you would take Jared Goff.
probably. Yeah.
But even though he needs those exact same stipulations for him to be great, you would take Jared Goff.
I mean, they're in the same tier.
But
Yeah.
you would take Jared Goff.
But
because
Jordan
Jared
Love
Goff,
is in a different
14
tier.
of 17
Yes.
games is
That's
going to be
argument
playing
there.
in a dome or
Yes.
right. But you would take Jared Goff even though he needs the same exact stipulation.
I don't know what the
even
point
though
is
in
here.
a worse situation, Tua was better than Jared Goff this past
I don't know
season,
what the
you would
point is
still
here.
take Jared Goff.
I don't know what the point is here.
The point is, you are trying to blame Tua for a deficiency that he does have, but not keep that same energy for a different
you
quarterback.
not-
When Tua
No, that's-
has been
no, bro.
better than Jared
Because
Goff
when
given
I
situation.
made the comments about Jared Goff last season, saying that he struggles outside, you guys were like, don't merch him. I'm like, no, he's just not good outside of domes. You guys were shitting on me, but
so
I
why
said
is
that
Jared
last
Goff
year.
better than Tua?
I just think he has.
He's been able to show that he can succeed in multiple different schemes.
I think
So
his arm is a bit
needs,
stronger.
He needs the best offensive line. He needs one of the best play callers. He needs one of the best wide receivers in the game. He needs one of the best running backs in the game. He needs one of the best tight ends in the game. But this is all
When you
things.
put it like that,
That's my point.
Yeah, Jared Goff's a game game manager though. Like I don't care.
Again,
That's
Tua.
fine.
If you want to take Tua over Jared Goff, that like they're
But
like
my
the
point
13th
is
and
you
14th
don't
best
keep
quarterbacks.
that
I'm
same
not like-
energy.
Well, the point
No,
that
I
you're
did,
making,
and you were shitting on it, saying you're calling him a dull merchandise.
But now
he is.
but now you're not saying that. You're saying that you would take Jared Goff
they
over
are
him.
in the same tier.
But again, Tua with
They're the same dude.
Jordan Love has shown he doesn't need elite receivers to be an elite quarterback.
Neither of
He has
them
shown
are
that.
doing off script,
But
all
we can
platform,
Jordan Love has shown he doesn't
crazy
need an elite
shit.
running game to be an elite quarterback.
he
He showed that already.
needed an elite weapon against San Fran.
I don't know. I think his mistakes just cost him in that game.
Aaron Jones was an elite weapon down the stretch, and it was extremely beneficial for the Packers.
Okay, yes, but he didn't have an elite wideout option. And I thought they could have beat the Niners. It's just his mistakes came back to bite him. That's on him. But when we're comparing Jordan Love and Tua's playoff game, Tua only had one play that game that was successful, and it was the play to Tyreek Hill that was a crazy underthrow. That's the
It was a
reality
bomb
of it.
down the field regardless.
Jordan Love had more good plays against the Niners than Tua had against the Chiefs.
And then
without
the
a
biggest
doubt.
moments of the game, he was dog
but
shit.
you're comparing Jordan Love's second playoff game because he actually got to a second playoff game versus Tua,
Again,
who's never
a
been able to
good
get to one.
matchup for him.
What is the common theme with the Dolphins whenever they lose to a better opponent? Tua tends to play bad. That happens all the time.
Tua does not overcome the massive hole that his defense puts him in. But on top of it, yes, in the moments where Tua has need to be clutch, he hasn't been.
Were they in a massive hole defensively against the Chiefs?
No.
I thought
Yes.
the defense kept them in the game.
Against the Chiefs?
No, against the Chiefs, the
playoff game.
defense definitely kept them in that game.
26-7?
That was
That's
a
a
game.
final score
That was a
because Tua
game
couldn't
the
get
whole
shit.
time.
That's why.
Again,
Could have moved
against
down
one
the
of the
field.
better defenses against the Chiefs.
And who had the most points against the Chiefs this year?
So when we talk about
Who had the most points?
But
No, who-
I
no,
can't bring up
tell
the
me.
regular season,
Tell me.
right? I'm not allowed to do that. Rev, I'm not allowed to do that.
Who played the
when
best
I talk
against
about
the
the
Chiefs?
Cowboys, I can't talk about the regular
It was
season.
16-7 at halftime.
Okay, and with the final score is what?
26.
Because
26-7.
Tua couldn't
But-
get any
but
drives. He couldn't sustain
scored
drives.
They
They
scored
scored.
10
They
points in the
punted.
second half.
That's why.
essentially.
The Dolphins couldn't get anything
I
going.
I understand that. The offense was horrendous.
And Tua could not throw at all.
Against one of the
Every
best
throw felt like
defenses
an
in the
interception
league.
was going to
To be
happen.
That's
fair,
also
though,
not
nobody in
true.
the playoffs could really get shit off against the Chiefs.
No one.
Yeah,
But
but
it's just like outside of the Titans game down the stretch, you want to say they collapsed, that's fine. The Baltimore game, y'all got smoked.
For sure.
Buffalo, you allowed 21. Dallas, it was 22-20.
And that's
like,
the one game where I will shake your hand right now and say a banged up Miami defense did their thing
even the
against
first
Buffalo.
Chiefs game in Germany or whatever was 21-14.
I agree with that. And that was not a bad showing.
But it's just like
They
I don't
just
think
had
the-
timely
I don't
turnovers
think the defense
that weren't
is
on
like
Tua.
the reason why all this shit's happening.
Against the Eagles, how many points did the Dolphins defense let up? Against the Bills in week 3, how many points did the defense
that was,
let up?
yeah, they allowed it was 31-17 against
The
Philly.
Eagles. And then that's also when Tyreek Hill dropped a touchdown.
He did.
Okay, now against the
That
Bills.
was in that game, though.
The
Agreed.
early game against
and-
Chicago, against the Bills was 48-20.
And Tua had how many touchdowns? How many passing yards?
He had 280 yards. Touchdowns. Gotta go to box score.
This guy.
One touchdown.
Useless.
280 yards.
listen, the reality of it is that
I don't know why you're
The
looking at me
Dolphins-
upset
It's
the
just
numbers.
again, I'm not mad at the numbers. My point is the Bills scored over 40 points. The Eagles scored 30 points.
Yeah, you allowed 31
Over the
to
last-
win the game. Like,
Huh?
like you could. I don't know. Does every week Miami have to hold their opponent to under 20 to win?
30 fucking points, 40 points. That's embarrassing.
You've won 36-34,
Are the-
70-20.
the Dolphins have to go
31-16,
down
42
every single-
You
Wait,
scored 30
Dell-
points almost
Dell's in
every
red.
week.
Am I not mistaken?
But against good teams, the defense plays like shit.
And the offense also scored 20 points against Buffalo, 17 against Philly,
about the
14
team that
against
just in
Kansas City,
totality
19
doesn't
against
play good
Baltimore,
when
14
Right
against
Riff,
Buffalo.
thank you.
What was
That's
your
the
comment,
most
Rick?
fair
the
fuck.
team in totality.
But Tua
just
doesn't play well
good
either.
when they play a good
That's
team.
the whole point. Tua doesn't
did
play
Tua
well.
play objectively bad in any of those games?
Against KC with the ball
Against
stripped
KC,
out. Yes.
agreed.
Casey
He
wasn't
played
great.
bad against the Bills the
Baltimore
first two
game was
times.
just a
The
fucking
first
asshole.
time
He
was
played bad against the Ravens. Yes, he did. He didn't play well against the Titans.
the
either.
Ravens also was a drop Tyreek touchdown.
Ravens
Then
was
everything
also
started
a
to fumble
blowout
after
by,
that.
like,
Agreed.
fucking-
That wasn't a close game.
Yeah,
that
but
was not even
ultimately,
close.
did we not just witness in the regular season when the Eagles played the Bills, that game went into overtime and the Bills scored on every single possession they had, and Jalen Hurts was still able to win that game? Just
Again,
because
it
your
was 17
defense,
points, but Tyreek Hill dropped a touchdown.
just because your defense is letting up points doesn't mean you cannot come back and answer back.
100%.
Tua is 3-12. The Dolphins are 3-12 against
Thank you.
playoff teams
Good job.
in the last two seasons. Tua only has thrown 2 touchdowns or more in one of those games. Does that not in 15 games, the guy who leads the league in passing yards, is top 5 in passing touchdowns, only has thrown 2 touchdowns or more in one of those games. But there are quarterbacks that play better against better competition all the time. Joe Burrow, coming off an injury, played his best game of the season against the Niners, played his best game of the season against the Bills, against top-level competition, and Tua consistently shrinks. And to this point, the sample size we have of Jordan Love and Tua is that Jordan Love plays better in high-leverage moments.
And a lot of similarities that these best teams do have going up against the Dolphins is that they have a great pass rush. Bills had a great pass rush. Chiefs have a great pass rush. The Ravens obviously had a great pass rush. The one that's probably most in question would probably be the Philadelphia Eagles. Regardless, this offensive line for the Dolphins is still not great. And Tua, who is not a mobile quarterback, or at least this past season, they prioritized him being a pocket
Said
passer.
he's quicker this year.
I'm hopeful. I'm not going to hold my breath on it.
That's why it's also tough because you lost Robert Hunt in the offseason. You're paying this dude $150+ million guarantees, so it's going to be difficult to improve the roster. It's going to be difficult to improve the offensive line. That's what happens when you get off these rookie contracts, you know?
Listen, from moving forward, they have to draft offensive linemen in the first round.
They got to hit on them.
I think both guys.
But this year, they drafted Chop Robinson, which, again, you lost Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. Who knows when they're going to be back. That's going to be a project pick, in my opinion. I feel like he still has to refine his tools.
Developmental, yeah.
You were at a spot where you still could have gotten a solid offensive lineman.
Even with all that, if Tua plays better, they could win those games. That's really the bottom line of it.
Both
the one
guys,
versus the Bills, I agree wholeheartedly.
Tough.
The second round against the Bills, I agree wholeheartedly.
You get paid this type of money, you gotta
be a dude.
You get paid this type of money, you have to show it.
Tyreek also is in conversation for the best in the game, and he has moments where he shrinks.
I agree.
They only talk about the quarterback. They don't talk about the wide receiver.
He also has 95% of the time Tyreek's doing something amazing. 5% of the time
But Tua is also
terrible.
doing amazing stuff like 85% of the time.
For sure. But it's hard for me to be like, well, you know, Tyreek.
See, but that is not right, because so many moments this past season, I think Tyreek was second in drops this year, although he's getting an insane amount of targets. That makes a whole lot of sense. In high leverage moments, he's dropping the ball and dropping touchdowns.
The Philly game definitely stands out.
And against the Chiefs, you get fucking stripped and they turn it back for a touchdown. And ultimately, that was the turning point. Even though in the second half, Tua and the offense came out guns blazing, put them in position to almost win the game, slipped out of his hand. That was a fucked up moment.
Well, the game was in his hands at that point.
Correct.
The game was in his
Wholeheartedly
hands.
agree.
So the Tyreek fumble was even
So then the Jalen Hurts fumble didn't matter.
Got him.
Well, no, I'm not saying it didn't matter, but it didn't cost them the game.
So, then the Jalen Hurts thing didn't matter, right?
No, it mattered. It's not like that cost them the game,
but
though.
similar. All right, but then I don't know.
You've said before the Hurts fumble cost him the game.
But that was a big turning point. It allowed 7 points of it. No, there's no doubt.
I'm trying to use the same energy for this.
If Jalen Hurts had the final drive of that Super Bowl and he did not convert on that final drive, that would be the moment we point at that he failed. Like Tua in that moment, the game was in his hands to win it. And he didn't execute. The difference between Jalen Hurts and that Super Bowl is that the last play of the game was in the Chiefs' hands. He couldn't do nothing about it to answer. Tua was able to answer, and that entire drive was Raheem Mostert breaking off big runs, and then the play you needed, it slipped out of Tua's hands.
We just can't call that unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
It was wide open.
It is. I'm
Tua
not saying it's
hits
not
that 9
unfortunate.
times out of 10, and that was the one time where it didn't.
I'm just saying, ultimately, Tua...
And they had 0 points at half. They were able to bring it back on the Chiefs.
You watch these games and you say, okay, listen, the team may have lost, but the quarterback put his best foot forward. I think that happens a lot with Josh Allen. The Bills lose, but we say Josh Allen, he put his best foot forward and he did most of what he could to put the Bills in position to win. Most of the times when it comes to the Dolphins, we don't say the same thing with Tua. We say more times than not, he's limiting them. Because they have to play a certain way. Against playoff teams, he 100% is. They got to tell on what they do.
It's all right. Hopefully this season they're not as conscious or not as worried about the head injuries and he can get outside the pocket a little bit more. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, this whole season was trying to protect Tua. And that was fine. That makes sense. And he was statistically amazing. Hopefully we see more out of structure plays at him because we've seen it in spurts last season as well, that he has that in his bag.
What team do you think is under the most pressure to succeed this season?
To me, this is also pretty easy. You could go the Dolphins route, but I feel like it's not anymore because the New York Jets have done everything in their power to put a Super Bowl team together. Not just a playoff team, a Super Bowl team. You have one of the best all-time quarterbacks ever in Aaron Rodgers. He's coming off an Achilles injury, but you still have that expectation because you are one of the best quarterbacks to ever touch a football field. You have a top 3 running back in Breece Hall. You have potentially a top 5 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. Excuse me, I have to burp. On paper, you have a really good offensive line. We need to see them stay healthy, but you bring in Morgan Moses, you bring in Simpson, you bring in Tyron Smith. You made improvements to your offensive line. Elijah Vera Tucker comes back from injury. On paper, this should be a very good offensive line. Defensively, you have one of the best defenses in the National Football League, coached by one of the better defensive play callers in Robert Saleh. You have arguably the best corner in football. You have great linebackers. You have a great defensive front. You have a top 3 defensive tackle in Quinnen Williams. You have it all. Safeties maybe are in question a little bit. That may be like my only gripe with your defense. Other than that, this is a championship-ready team if everything stays to plan and they are healthy. Maybe wide receiver too, but if Mike Williams comes back and stays healthy, he's still great. He's just not reliable. When he's on the field, he's awesome. This is a championship caliber roster. They have all the pressure on them because if not this year, who knows when?
Jets reading number 1 for me. Easily number 1 for me because, yeah, Drew, if not this year, you have maybe one more year of Aaron Rodgers, and even one more year is kind of iffy. He had a interview with Barstool, and originally they asked him, like, oh, like, how many more years do you want to play? He's like, well, when I first got here, I said 2 more good years, but now I'm just going to take it a year at a time. God willing, we get 2 years, but there's a real chance where it's just 1 year with Aaron Rodgers because of the torn Achilles. So outside of the Jets, because I think they're number 1, I would probably have the Cowboys in number 2. I think there's a couple teams you could go with in the NFC East, but Dallas right now, contractually, Dak Prescott, it's a huge year. CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons should get paid. Regardless of what happens this year, they should be the highest paid wide receiver, the highest paid edge rusher, but Dallas just taking their time. And then head coach, Mike McCarthy. If they have a disappointing season, if they lose in round 1 in the playoffs, if they don't make the playoffs, which there's a possibility, I don't know how likely it is, but there's a world where the NFC is getting better. The NFC East could even have a surprise team potentially if Jane Daniels is able to hit. There's always pressure on Dallas every given year because a lot like San Francisco, for example, they're always in the mix. They're always in the hunt. They're always having great regular seasons, but they can never get over that hump. For Dallas, it's not me making the Super Bowl. It's about making a conference championship game at this point because it's been way too long since they've gotten there. If they don't win this season, there is a great chance, probably over 50% chance, you're moving off from your quarterback, you're moving off from your head coach, and there's a new era in direction in Dallas.
I was watching this video popped up of a Would You Rather CeeDee Lamb and Nick Chubb that popped up in the video.
From us?
Yeah, it was us. And I was watching the video.
Is he ever going to let me live this down?
Wait, Nick Chubb was probably fine.
Yeah, it was the other thing.
Are you ever going to let me live this down?
I was, but then the video popped up. It was T. Higgins and shit. There was just a lot of nasty names going on.
How was I in that? Was that good?
Didn't really pay attention to you. Focus solely on him.
You're a fucking glazer.
But I say that to say, because you brought up Dallas. For me, there's a few teams you can go this route. Miami is a good one. Of course, you just paid Tua $160 guaranteed $1 million. Dallas, I feel like they always have pressure every year because they're America's team. You have Dak, you have CD, Jerry Jones, and stuff like that. And, of course, Micah Parsons. For me, I'm going to go the simple route, Philly. I think 2 years ago, you get to the Super Bowl, right? You had an easy schedule. You kind of walk through the NFC. You go through the playoffs. You do your thing. Brock Purdy gets hurt in the NFC Championship game. You go to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts puts on a primetime performance. You lose to the Chiefs. You come back out last season. You start 8-0, 9-1, something like that. Like
amazing.
You start off ridiculous. Then you just fall completely off a cliff. What do? Howie Roseman does not let his team rest. He is constantly trying to make moves, constantly trying to put this team in championship aspirations. And I feel like he did that this offseason. I feel like in terms of getting Saquon Barkley, in terms of drafting and team needs that we needed, in terms of bringing in Bryce Huff, not paying Hassan Reddick, bringing in not a boom or bust, but a guy with potentially more potential than him at a probably cheaper deal. You see Reddick in the situation right now with the Jets. He has not showed up. He wants his money. I'm glad we dodged that bullet, And then even last year, you had a good draft. You drafted all this talent on the line. This is a a year where you kind of have to see where you're at. You know, you're Howie Roseman. Detroit got better. The Niners are hanging around. You know, the Packers are coming. You know, there's the NFC is getting better. Chicago's on the way. They're probably a year or two away, but the NFC is getting better. They're getting more talented. And with Philly, you lost Jason Kelce. You lost Fletcher Cox, kind of the team leaders on your team, the old veterans, you know. So I think with them, the pressure is on to kind of bounce back from losing to Tampa, finishing off the year the way they did. And then the other team, of course, is the Niners, because this potentially it could be the last year you have Ayuk, Debo, Brock, and Kittle on the same roster together. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe Debo gets moved next offseason. Unlikely in my mind, but maybe Ayuk gets moved off next year. You have to start thinking about paying Brock Purdy. This defense, you have to start thinking about paying those other guys. You know, this defense last year took a step down. You know, offensively, they're great, but Kato's getting up there in age. Debo's injury concern. How do you worry about that? So the pressure was always on them last year, 100%. The pressure is going to continue on with this team because they're a Super Bowl or bust team. They're one of the most talented teams in the league. So for me, it's the Eagles and the Niners by far.
As Purdy gets closer to this contract extension, there's a lot of pressure that's running rampant on the Niners because they got to win within this window, because then it becomes much harder to win after that window. And also, the older Brock Purdy gets, the older their stars get. The stars are already aging. Trent Williams is aging. George Kittle's aging. So they kind of got to win within this window right here. I went with a team/player. I think it's the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. I think they're under the most pressure. I think Trevor Lawrence is under the most pressure in the league amongst all quarterbacks. I know he just got paid.
More than Herbert?
I think he's under more pressure than Herbert.
Okay.
Just because Trevor Lawrence last year was supposed to have an even better season, and he didn't exceed or live up to those expectations. And I know a lot of things went wrong around him. But when you look at these splits, when he was kept clean versus under pressure, kept clean, 16th in EPA, 18th in success rate, 19th in yards per attempt, and number 1 in sack and interception rate. When he was pressured, 31st in EPA, 12th in success rate, 6th in yards per attempt, and 27th in sack and interception rate. He became one of the worst quarterbacks when pressured, but even with no pressure, he was average. He was not a top quarterback. And Doug Peterson, to me, this is a make or break year for him. I think if Doug Peterson does not show to be better, he will get fired. I think now, based on his time in Jacksonville, we're looking at the Philadelphia tenure like, you got fired for a reason, because Trevor Lawrence was pressured a lot last year, and throughout the course of the season, even on bye weeks when the Jags had rest and they faced teams that had great personnel to cause pressure, there was no game plan to protect Trevor Lawrence. Coming off a bye and they faced the 49ers, Trevor Lawrence was pressured on 31% of his dropbacks. It made playing quarterback literally unbearable. And yes, it's the Niners, but also the Niners kind of took a step back in their pass rush last year. Mm-hmm. And this is coming off a bye week, and you're trying to find answers so your quarterback doesn't get hit left and right. And Doug Peterson has been unable or has not shown the ability to adjust and to make things easier for his quarterback. Trevor Lawrence in the last three seasons leads the NFL in lost fumbles, most EPA lost to drops. And yes, the drops are a concern. His receivers have to catch the ball. If you account for EPA loss to drops, out of 39 quarterbacks, Lawrence ranks in 2023 14th in EPA, 15th in success rate, and 8th in yards per attempt. Trevor Lawrence, even if you account for best case scenario, all of his receivers catch every single pass that was thrown to them, all the touchdowns get accounted for, Trevor Lawrence was an average quarterback. He needs to be better, because he's more talented than this. I don't think the numbers tell the entire story, but for the most part, Trevor Lawrence is getting a lot of leeway for not performing up to standards. And you see the numbers here, when everything goes right, at best, he's 14th in EPA. And we're not doing that for every other quarterback. We're not saying, okay, now let's not account for drops for every other quarterback. This is accounting for Lawrence within that sample size of all these guys still having the same receiver drops that they had initially. Just Trevor Lawrence gets the benefit of the doubt. And I think after he got paid, the expectation is for him to be the first overall pick, is to be a true face of the franchise, and he has to prove it this upcoming season.
I definitely think there's more pressure on Peterson than Lawrence, but the Lawrence pressure is fair, right? Like, for sure. I think all of us at the table realize that Trevor Lawrence is better than what his numbers have indicated through, 3-4 seasons he's in the NFL right now, especially when you take into account Urban Meyer year one. But Doug Peterson, when he got hired, of course, he has the the history, the Super Bowl, Nick Foles, everything he did in Philly to kind of hold him up for this job in this position. He was deserving of this position. But we're at a point now for Trevor Lawrence's career and Doug Peterson's career where Trevor got paid, but they kind of need each other, right? If Doug Peterson goes out there and they have another season where they miss the playoffs, they get bounced in the first round, Doug Peterson is probably on his way out, as you mentioned, Joel, and you're probably looking at another head coach. And you can get a second head coaching job. It's really difficult to get a third head coaching job, right? Across the NFL, it's very rare do you see those. And for Trevor Lawrence, I still think there's something there with Doug Peterson, and he could be one of the better offensive play callers, schemes, minds in the NFL. But Trevor Lawrence still has to execute on it, right? A lot of those drop touchdowns, a lot of those missed passes, those were just... Sometimes they were just off the mark, and it was because of Trevor Lawrence, right? There was times where it was just off the fingertips, where it could be in the breadbasket. There was times where you just throw it a touch earlier. There was times where you could get out of the pocket a little bit earlier. It's not like it was just all on everybody else. So they could bring each other up or tear each other down next season. If they have some success, we're looking at Doug Peterson as like a borderline top 10 coach. We're looking at Trevor Lawrence as a borderline top 10 quarterback. But if they both fail, we're having different conversations about both of them.
To match the offensive line, what the Jaguars did, especially in 2022, was they passed the ball in under 2.5 seconds. And Lawrence was really good with that. But this past season, Lawrence was not good under 2.5 seconds. And on dropbacks on over 3 seconds, he was last in accuracy. 25% of his dropbacks resulted in a sack or interception when he had the ball for over 3 seconds. The only player that was worse was Daniel Jones. So we're talking about a guy in just terms of sack and interceptions and fumble. He is in that company.
Some people can do it, some can't.
Listen, I think Trevor Lawrence is better than what these numbers have shown. But
Agreed.
It's a make or break year for him. I will say one last thing about just contracts in general. Jordan Love got paid. Tua got paid. Trevor Lawrence got paid. Trevor Lawrence's cap hit until 2027 is $35 million or less.
That's amazing.
When these contracts come out and we look at the face value and it says $50 million annually, $55 million annually, I think it causes a panic in a lot of people. And they say, oh, this is overpaid. This guy didn't deserve it. He hasn't done shit, whatever. When you actually look at the cap hits, it's perfectly reasonable. It's the same thing that whenever a quarterback gets paid, everybody goes into a panic. Jalen Hurts got paid. He was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at that time. He's overpaid. Lamar Jackson got paid. They said he was even overpaid. Trevor Lawrence got paid. He's overpaid. Jared Goff got paid. He's overpaid. Tua got paid. He's overpaid. Jordan Love got paid. He didn't deserve it. He's overpaid. Whenever these guys get a new contract, if her name is not Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Mahomes, you're getting overpaid. And I think that
even Lamar wasn't free of those, which is
Not even
sad.
Justin Herbert.
people have to dig deeper and actually look at how much the teams are actually spending, because $35 million until 2027 is not the same as $50 million annually.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
This week in the NFL, NBA, Riv, you mentioned the Eagles and how you dodged the bullet with Hassan Reddick, but another bullet is coming at you, my friend, because Vic Fangio, when talking about Bryce Huff playing on all downs, he said, does he look like he can do it today? No, but I do think he eventually will. A big reason why the Jets didn't pay Bryce Huff was because he was exclusively a pass rusher. He wasn't a good run defender, and he wasn't able to play all four downs. In Philadelphia, early on, Vic Fangio was saying, this guy right now, he can't play all four downs. Do I think he has the talent to get there? Yes. But if you paid Bryce Huff as much as you paid him, and he's not playing all downs, I think that's a bit of a concern. And it doesn't help that one of the Eagles' biggest deficiencies on defense was their rush defense. And I think they did very little at linebacker to help themselves. And I think adding one of the worst run defenders in Bryce Huff is not going to help if he doesn't improve in that area. So the Eagles could still have a big gaping hole on their defense if things don't improve.
You know, the hope for Philadelphia is Fletcher Cox is now retired. You still have Jalen Carter ready to go. Like, he's ready to play a majority of downs. Jordan Davis also is unfortunately not not at that point where you feel comfortable that Fletcher's gone, but that duo at least should be good enough to get a job done. But if Bryce is going to get paid, what was it? Was it
I think like 18 mil.
I was going to say, was it 460, something like that?
459, I believe.
Okay, all right. That makes sense.
It was like
I don't think it's
354.
crazy.
You know, you would hope that
51 as a matter of
that they've
fact.
done a good enough job to withstand that, especially understanding down the stretch of the season, your biggest thing was not just that your secondary was horrendous, but also you were getting ran all over. So that's definitely interesting to bring up, and it'll be interesting to see because I'm anticipating Bryce Huff to be a huge part of this defense, especially for the money that they did just give him. But my this week in the NBA, of course, I always like to. It's not NBA, it's NFL. Let's stay on theme with our episode today. I've been trying to
fucking NBA with that.
That's a fact.
So it's like literally
I'm
all
trying.
Not a single NFL
I've
play.
been trying to keep it consistent. I don't know if you guys have picked up a theme, but I'm going through award winners. Can you guys name me every offensive and or defensive rookie of the year? It does not have to be in order, but you need to get the player correct.
Can I start?
Starting with you, Riv.
Oh, what was it?
Offensive or defense?
And we're not starting with Riv.
Chase Young.
Yes, Chase Young was defensive player.
See, like all you had
rookie
to
of the
do
year.
is just repeat the question, and I can get
We
it.
listen.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, of course. Yeah,
I
it's
win
gonna go
already,
that
bud.
way. It's gonna go this way.
Okay.
So it's you.
Sauce Gardner.
Yep.
This is where I'm fucked. Oh, Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Offensive or defensive? Let me pull up the teams. Hold on.
Whoa. No teams allowed.
He just looks at the team.
I don't
I just look at
care.
the
Come on, you
teams.
get every rookie of the year ever.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Pretty sure he did win.
I think he did win.
He did one.
He did. 2017.
If Marshawn Lattimore won that year, then that means another guy won that year on the Saints. And that guy is Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara did win 2017.
They were the only other team. There's them and the Jets. That's why that stuck out.
I'm gonna need laptops closed, and I'm gonna need phones down.
I'm just looking at the teams.
I have my
Thank you, Joel, because Joel has dignity and respect for
I have my
himself.
This Week in NBA.
I'm looking at you,
Okay.
Mr. Dehls.
God forbid I want to look at some.
How many
team
strikes we
names.
get?
I'll give you guys
Just
2
one
strikes.
strike, bro.
Two.
I was-
Do or die. Do or die. Do or die.
Do or die is
What'd you say?
nuts.
One strike?
One strike, yes.
Fuck it.
All right.
Whatever.
And it is the end of the show. We're on 2:30.
This might be it then. This is,
Rookie of the year,
It's like,
brother. Who won this year?
shit. Wow. That's a great question. Who was a rookie this year?
I'll be honest. You're gonna be banned if you don't get the rookie.
No,
of the year
just
this
let me think. Like, who was a rookie this year? Wow, this is like a fucking blanking. Throw me some names. Who was a rookie this year?
Yeah. 5.
Stop. 5? Fuck this game. I'm not playing this shit then. This is fucking unfair.
Joel, who
CJ
won
Stroud.
rookie? I can't believe you.
I gave you 5 seconds, bro.
CJ Stroud is
If you
apparently
ga-
your guy.
If you gave me 5 more seconds, I could have figured I can't look at teams. I
I'm
can't do
sorry,
shit.
Riff. I have no
shit.
remorse.
I don't care. Fuck that game.
Zeke.
That shit sucks.
Yes. Oh, you lost. Because
What,
it
why?
was
Dakota.
Dak Prescott that
that's some
season.
bullshit.
Damn, and the one strike comes to bite you in the ass. These have been way too quick, man.
I'm not playing this.
You
ever
guys
again.
don't know awards?
No longer playing this game.
I do know. I mean,
Zeke deserved it.
I had a lot of names in
I
mind.
know, you didn't
I
have
just
to
went
go
with
Zeke.
Zeke. But, I had Saquon. I had Nick Bosa. I had Jalen Carter.
Why did you do that
I
then? Jalen Carter didn't win this year.
Oh, who won?
Will Anderson.
Oh, shit.
I did think it was willing to add much more confidence. in
CJ and Will
Stroud,
Anderson were the other duo to win it.
but I got some quick trivia here.
Jamar Chase.
Thank
Two
God for this.
strikes?
Let's do the good trivia.
2 strikes?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
You guys are ridiculous.
Give me some time too. Let's.
Can you
Fucking
guys name
embarrassing.
me?
I'm sorry. I need a second. You
5
didn't
seconds?
get CJ fucking Stroud.
We
No, I'll
allowed.
be
no,
honest, Rip. I did that because CJ Stroud was on my mind. I was like, if he don't say that,
And
fuck.
wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. 'Cause this shit is clear racism. We allow Dehls to look at teams every
said no.
every
I
trivia.
said
And
no.
the moment I asked for some more time, I couldn't get more. My brain was scrambling.
Well, first
I
of all,
needed-
the
and
team
then-
rules
and then,
never think
Not
on
to
that.
mention, Drew. When I did that to him, he told me it fucks up your brain.
I
if you
stopped
do that."
counting.
No,
I didn't count.
Come on,
I
this
said,
part.
"Oh,
the
So when
counting
he's
fucks
doing
me up.
so
The
when he's
counting
doing-
fuck- this
when
doesn't
he's
fuck me up, the
doing
counting.
this, I'm like,
'Cause I can look
fuck, it's
down. I
fucking
can go
my
like
brain
this.
up. We're just allowing Dehls to fuck the game up, but it's cool. I'm not tripping. He
All right.
he manipulated you, and I'm not
Here we
even
go.
mad at you.
Can you guys name? One more time.
Bro can't even read.
It's not even reading, just speaking. Can you guys name me?
You have to read the thing.
There's no words. I just have the list here. I just know the stat off the top of my head.
Idiot.
2 strikes. 2 strike. Well, I'll say that first, and then you let me know.
I
how
like
many strikes you
one
want.
strike, man.
Okay.
Brother,
just screwed you.
Can you guys name me the top 10 quarterbacks in game-winning drives last season?
2 strikes. Two.
2 strikes.
Let me go first.
No, I know what you're gonna say. Let me go first.
No, that's some bullshit.
Gino is number 1.
Yes.
I will go. Should we go? We'll have Joel go second because he went second, or he went last time.
Fuck.
That's all you had? Well, there's only a certain amount of quarterbacks. So
You said top 10, right?
top 10.
Jordan
so
Love.
I'm fucked now.
Gino was 1, correct?
Jordan Love was number 8.
Thank God.
Gino was number 1.
We're here.
Needed that.
So you got a mix of some high-end quarterback play and some low-end quarterback
Russell
play.
Wilson.
Russell Wilson's number 4.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker
Pack 'em up.
Mayfield is
Pack 'em up.
13.
Come on, get him out of here.
Are we doing 1 strike or 2?
No, 2. Come on. What the
Okay.
fuck are we doing?
Man, okay. Let me think. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is number 3.
It's a
always count on him.
great pull. Great pull. I mean, amazing. Game-winning drives. Come on, Drew. Lock in.
Are we
All
starting
right.
a shot clock?
No.
We're getting there.
I definitely have an answer.
10 seconds.
I'm going to go with Daiquiri Prescott.
Dak Prescott's number 7.
Let's go.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's number 2.
Son of
You
a
guys going to
bitch,
clear this
Drew.
board. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4 done. We got 7 and 8 done. So we're missing 5 and 6, 9 and 10.
This guy's always at the top of the league in this sort of stat. Derek Carr.
No.
Fuck.
All right, Drew, come on. We got a chance here.
Okay, strike.
We got
Drew is clean.
We got a chance here. All right. We'll try not to overthink this one too much. He is the guy. I may not like him, but let's go with Patrick Mahomes.
Strike 1.
Fuck me. I
Number 12.
knew.
That's actually interesting. All right, so how many we got left?
Got 4 left.
Oh, okay.
5, 6, 9, 10.
5, 6, 9, 10. What were the people we have said, just so I know not to repeat?
Gino,
Nice,
Josh,
you're learning.
Jalen Hurts, Russ, Dak, Jordan Love.
Okay. I feel like Lamar's not up here.
Fucking Mahomes
He's
always
blown
lets
out
me down.
a shit ton of teams.
That's a good observation.
Yeah, for sure. Dehls, can I just look at the teams? Can I look at the standard? I'm axing.
I don't know. Apparently today's a no team day.
That's what I'm axing. I don't want to cheat. I'm axing.
Today's a no team day,
Okay.
apparently.
I just want to ask, Drew.
All right, I
I'm
respect
in my
you.
messages just to show y'all. I'm texting. That's all. I just want to show y'all.
No quitting this guy.
Damn, not having the teams in my brain is fucking me. Oh, CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud is number 9.
Fuck.
That's a great pull, bro.
That's what I was going to say.
You can get it now, but not before when we're talking
All right,
about
we got
rookie of the
three
year.
You see how
left.
he gave me time, right? You hit me
Great
with
job.
the 5-4.
Awesome.
Got 3 left.
I like you, Dehls. You give us time and thought process.
man of the people.
I respect that, man.
Man of all people.
Okay, that was gay.
I'll make it clear.
Okay,
He's an idiot.
We need 5, 6, and 10.
go with Trevor Lawrence.
Bro. No fucking
Strike 2,
way.
you're out.
All right.
Trevor Lawrence was number 14.
Come on.
We got
Why
5,
am I
6,
thinking garbage?
10.
I'm going to talk out loud here.
You have one strike?
Just so I do
One
have
strike.
one strike. We both have one strike. CJ
Sudden
Stroud
death
was
there.
an amazing pull. When thinking garbage, I don't know why Gardner Minshew's on my head. Maybe Russ was the garbage, and maybe that's it. But Gardner Minshew's definitely on my mind for whatever reason. Could Kirk Cousins have snuck in here, especially in such a short amount of time? I don't feel great about it. I won't say. I'm thinking out loud. Can I think out loud? I said
Just thinking, I don't think they won a shit ton of games.
he won. They won four games in a row.
They were 4-4 when he got hurt.
That's what it was.
I'm still.
So I won't put him in there. However, not many guys really scream out at Andrew. And I know Tua is unfortunately not here because he only had one last year, I'm pretty sure.
We're getting close to the shot clock.
All right, I appreciate that, the honesty here.
Thanks, Dehls. I appreciate that. I
also-
love the warning. I love the warning.
I give you
Somebody got to go with Zach Wilson, man.
I'd rather eat my own shit personally. However, I will lock in Gardner Minshew.
Strike 2.
I have the chance to win it here.
Gardner Minshew is 17. Riv, you get 1 here, and you win.
I have a chance to win here.
You got 3 potential candidates.
Can you remind me the names on the board?
Yes. Geno Smith.
Yes.
Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Russ. Those are the top 4.
Okay.
We're missing 5 and 6.
Right.
Dak was 7.
Yes.
Jordan Love was 8. CJ Stroud 9. We're missing number 10.
So we're missing 5, 6, 10.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate that. I'd love to be last. I haven't been last in the NFL one in a while. Feels great to be here. All right. Is there a...
I'm not giving any hints. I didn't give Drew any hints.
He didn't ask.
Fuck. Don't do that.
No, I was. Is there a snap count here, or this is just all season?
All season.
Okay, that's all I was asking. He wasn't smart enough to ask. I'm gonna ask. We're gonna go Jared Goff here.
He locked it.
He locked it. Number 6, Jared Goff.
Let's fucking go.
I'm thinking if he gets it wrong, I'm screaming Jared Goff.
The last 2 would have been tough. Desmond Ritter was number 5.
no shot.
I
Nobody
knew
was
it
getting
was
that.
mid.
Kenny Pickett was number 10.
Yeah, I had a
Those are
feeling
mids.
it was
Those are
Kenny Pickett
garbage.
too, bro.
Minshew, my mind was in the right place on mid, but damn. Hey, good win.
So we got
you
one
made
more
up.
thing left,
bounce
Riv, or that's it?
Next up.
You said
Too
you had
long.
like 4
We're at
trivias.
240.
Yeah, I had this one long one. I don't know if you guys want to do it.
I don't care. I mean, okay.
could go
Joel's,
home.
if Joel's
Yeah,
staying.
yeah. No, trust me. This is
Joel's gonna go upstairs.
this is saved for the vault. I can do that for later. You know?
That's fine.
What time is it? And you got to catch the end of Monday Night Raw.
Facts. That's going to do it for episode 396. You guys can follow us on Twitter at PickAsidePod, on Instagram and TikTok at PickAsidePodcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.